All right. Morning, folks. Morning, folks. Here's the drift. So hopefully some of you were prepared for this move. We've talked about it for many weeks in the newsletters. All right. And it's important that you stay zoomed out and understand. And maybe some of you are long SQQ, or maybe some of you have some puts, or maybe some of you are just waiting to pick up this cheap. But you can see, as always, I always look at the daily right to start. We built out this huge node. Remember, we traded in this from November all the way through, and eventually lost the mid part of the node and eventually lost the bottom side of the node. And that's why we've been very short bias for the last few weeks, trying to trade the downside pressure. The biggest problem we've had in the New York sessions, I'm going to be honest, is we always seem to be opening up at the lows, which is giving us the worst possible location to be short in, right? We want to be short up here or on like retests of nodes, all right, for the downside pressure. We really don't want to be short here. So we have to be cognizant of that right now. As you can see, we are coming in to this level that we've talked about numerous times in the newsletter. This is your 2024 high, all right, your December 2024 high in the NQ. We're not there yet on the ETFs, all right? The ETFs have a long way to go, but it is an area of interest. So think about this from a pivot point of view. Remember, this was resistance. We broke down. We came all the way back up on this tariff move. We broke out above it. We pulled back. We held it as support 3 times before breaking away. We're now seeing the backside of the move for the retest of this level. This is a big flipping level, folks. All right, so getting short into this level is very risky. It's not to say that this thing can't melt more. Absolutely it can. But understand this location, all right, if we're thinking about this, this is a resistance became support. All right, we don't want to get short into this level. All right, if we're going to get short, we either need a pop to sell into, or we need to get under it and use the liquidity to move lower. If you're already short and you're looking for new lows, or you're going to look for exaggerated moves, all right, we're looking for this level here. It's sort of 600. You can see the options, they put it in at 620. If we lose that, I'd be watching this kind of little low volume node into around 466. If we lose that, you're looking at 23.2s, and if you lose that, we're looking at 22.8s, which is where I think the market's going to come to ultimately, especially if we get any form of escalation or any form of nothing happening. Remember, all the time, there's no deal done. All right, you guys might see this differently. This is how I see it. All the time, there is no deal done. I don't care what is said about we're doing a deal, we're going to do a deal, we're not going to do. Shut up. All right, until the time there is a paper signed and people are sticking to it, the market is risk off. All right, the market will price in right now, will price in worst case scenario, which I would not be surprised in this move. And everyone might be like, impossible to get down there. All right, we're at 6s. To get to 8s, right, that's an 800 point candle. I'll remind you, on Monday this week, when Trump did that tweet or whatever he did on Truth Social, we did that in 30 seconds. So to say it can't get here would be incorrect. The market will do whatever it wants to do. It's whether you're willing to sit around and be there for it. Do not, right, be arrogant enough to think that you're better than market. I'm not better than market. No one's better than market. Remember, the market is God. We got to be the disciples. If we're not the disciples, we're going to get burnt. All right, that's how we think about the market. So as we go into the lower time frame or the hourlies, let's just have a look at where we're at. Move this up a bit for you guys so you can see. All right, you can see we're leaving all the volume trapped overhead, all right, from previous week and current week developing. All right, so this is current week developing. We can get rid of this guy here. Let me just clean this up. Where's that gone? There we go. All right, so we're extending value lower. You can see I really wanted to short up here, but it never came this week. I wanted to look for this move. All right, value from this week has been rotated. We've stayed heavy underneath sort of the 300s. All right, volume got stuck there. We had the chance to clean the stops out, didn't do it. Backside of the move. All right, and everything since has been failure. This is why I said to you yesterday, you've got to stay short. Now, if anyone watched that even short video I posted yesterday, I said to you guys, stay short, don't be long, because this can come to 600s if it wants. Well, that's exactly where we are. So what are the options here? Because this is what's going to get hard now. Really, we would love a drift, right? We'd love a morning squeeze higher to sell into. Now, if they are able to do that, because we're coming right into the bottom of this green box, which is the pivot, it'd be very nice if they're able to do that. Some kind of move back into this, all right, SBR level, support becomes resistance. I'm interested in how we operate in here, all right? So some of you might want to try and look for the counter trend long. That's up to you if you're going to look for that, all right? If you're going to look for a move like this, I'm going to wait probably to see if we offer a short here or here. We can see there's a node here that's been developed. Let's just bring this down a bit. All right, so that's what I would prefer to look for. Now, I'll tell you when the shorts become very, very dangerous in this market. Seeing as we've hit the higher time frame, remember this is your 2024 high, seeing as we've hit that, if we start reclaiming and building liquidity in here, you do not want to be short. It means we've back tested the higher time frame level. We're starting to reclaim previous day value. There is then the potential for a Friday squeeze if shorts have hit their levels and they don't want to hold on, for the Friday squeeze back up to here. All right, I'm not saying be long for that. I'm saying if we come to here and we start to base out, I'll be very careful about getting short. All right, so the long opportunities for me, all right, would be something like this, or let's redo that, something like this. And if you got lucky into here, and then I'd be looking for short from here. If we base above this, I'd be very, very careful about this squeeze trigger up here. If we come up here, we can think about the short, but we want to be very, very careful, because then we've shifted momentum and the short then could hold this pivot, all right, and we can go sideways. If we move up, I'll give you some more of the gamma levels above for you guys to have a look at. These are all the levels, not just 0 DTE. So you can see 20 is the big level. All right, like we talked about, 80 is not a level, but the bottom of this box, or 60 to 80, this is that high time frame pivot. If we start to stay heavy at 20s, I'd be somewhat surprised, but if we stay heavy at 20s, we can think about that move to 400s. But I would like to see this drift and then sell back down inside. Be very careful, right, because we've done nothing but sell overnight, all right, and no real stops have been taken out. So when we think about structurally, right, strong channel, this is clearly a very strong channel down. If we start to structurally break this, all right, we can see that lift. You don't want to be short at these lows. I will repeat that. You really don't want to be short at those lows. If you were short overnight from up here, or you took this breakdown here, fantastic. Cover 80% here, and then you've got room to wait and see what happens. But please do not be adding a new money short down here. You are asking to get hurt, right? You really are. Okay, lower time frame, and then we're going to go through the mag, which is going to become very important today, because Tesla is at that all-important 70 level I've been banging on about for as long as I can think about now, for many, many months, because we've been there probably 6 months or something. We've been in a range in Tesla. All right, ES, same kind of story. I don't think we've met that pivot yet. Let me just double check. No, we haven't made the pivot yet. So let's just like reprogram some of these, shall we? I'm going to put these in as bright green. In fact, we can move this down lower, because that is going to matter. This guy in here matters. We can get rid of these. All right, so ES not quite made that pivot yet, but it's on the way. And you can see they're putting an option level. 445 is your ultimate target. All right, if ES wants to really get going, 445 is the target. The same kind of thing. You don't want to be shorting the lows, really. So you can watch this pivot here on ES, where we got the Trump pump on Monday, where they found a bid last night for him to do the same Fugazi bullshit. And we will see what happens here, all right? So I don't know if he needed to, or his cronies needed to get an exit there, but they certainly got it just after the close. And we'll see what happens. Okay, this is an interesting level in here, all right? Ideally, we pop up and we can see if we sell that back down. And if we reclaim that, then we've obviously got a drift. So on ES, you'd be watching this move into sort of 517s, 525, somewhere around that, and see if they want to resell that. If they reclaim that, that would be the closure and VWAP, then maybe they look for that drift back up into this pivot. But we can talk about that if and when we get there. Okay, spiders. Same kind of story here, folks. Let me just zoom out of this. Yeah, we can move this up a bit. All right, same kind of story here. You can see heavy negative gamma. We've lost the 650s. We've certainly lost the 660s. We've lost 50s. We're coming into 40s. Like I said, the ETFs have got a long way to go to play catch up. All right, we are here right now on the NQ. To give you an example, we're right here. These have got a long way to go to play catch up, which is why I think ultimately there's a chance that the Qs, as in the futures, might still want to move further down, but we'll watch. We're going to have to be careful. But these have still got room on the ETFs, all right? But if you're playing these, same kind of story. You need a lift, really. You want to see a lift up into 45s or into 43s to 45s to be a seller. You really don't want to be selling too close to this 40 level. Qs, same kind of story, all right? Absolutely melting. You can see this level here is going to become important, all right? 70s. Right, how we act here, VWAP 70, 75. If we start to base in here, be very, very careful with this lift to 77 on a Friday. Exaggerated move will be 565. Again, QQQ not near that pivot yet. All right, so we're not there yet on the QQQ. We've got to get right down into this. All right, if we're going to have a go at it. So it's got a long way to go on the ETFs to come into those same levels that we're already at in the futures market. All right, so just be aware of that. Dixie breaking the 100. All right, so it's calling bullshit on the truce right now. It's breaking the 100, and if we start to get above this, all right, you're going to see weakness in the metals. I've talked about this extensively. Lots of people saying, why are the metals getting sold off? It's because China and the North African Emirates, etc., have been placing their hedge in gold and silver for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, thinking that would be get the collapse of the dollar, all right, which everyone was betting on. This was a crowded short trade down here, all right, and the moment we had the oil crisis, all right, you get a petrodollar kind of squeeze because we price oil in dollar, which means they're forced to buy oil back in dollar, which increases the price of dollar. And to get there, they have a liquidity problem in gold, well, in their own market. So they sell gold and silver so that they've got liquidity and they're having to buy back the dollar. So that's why you're getting weakness in the metals. Lots of you have been saying, it's a hedge I don't understand. That's why it comes down to liquidity issues and them needing capital. All right, VIX into the 30s, right? We kept talking about this over and over. Look at this rising channel in VIX on the daily. We've talked about it. It keeps basing and holding and basing and holding. The longer it's here, the bigger problem that you are going to be in, and we are seeing that now. So we're priced in for a move to 30. We're already coming to 30s. You can see what happened yesterday. We kept holding the 27. We did a duck underneath it. Tested 26s, reclaimed, and there's your squeeze up to 30. All right, this looks like max move at the moment, so we'll see if we retest 28s and what's going to happen. Starting to see relief in this market since hitting that pivot. All right, let's get into the mag because this is going to be important. Apple still inside previous day's range. That's had relative strength. Very, very impressive. It's a no trader zone for me. I'm still holding my longs in that. Amazon weakness coming into this as we start to break down right underneath this pivot that we put in midweek. If we lose this, we're going to lose the gap and come down to 200 or 202s again. Google's had relative weakness the whole time. This thing getting absolutely slammed. I'm still not touching this because like we talked about yesterday, ever since that court case or that ruling change, we got this ginormous squeeze. We've got 2 huge gaps in here. We can come right back to 209s, and I'll wait and see if and when we ever come back there, how we operate. Meta, I put a little feeler on long yesterday. I'm just watching this. All right, I still think we're kind of come and wash some of this, but I got a feeler on just in case it wants a little lift on a rebound. Microsoft, relative weakness again. You can see where I'm watching. I've got these levels marked out to see if we come in for alerts, but again, weakness in Microsoft as we start to melt down. Nvidia is the big one. All right, there's the 170 hit and sweep. Now, how we act here becomes important for the rest of the day. All right, we've had this marked out for a long time. Why? Move out on the daily. Look how important this is on the daily. We're talking about going back to August last year. All right, if we start to stay heavy under 170, it's got 165, and we have gaps underneath. If we're gonna see weakness in this market, an efficient market, I'm not saying today, but it is possible, you might hate me for saying it, it's very possible we fill some of these gaps, folks. If there's major weakness, if we do that, we're basically going to leave like equivalent of a, I don't know, a yearly, not quite a year, 9-month island high and move down. We'll see. But the 170, very, very, very important on Nvidia. Tesla doesn't look too bad on the daily, trying to hold the pivot, but we're starting to see weakness come into the tape here on Tesla. All right, intraday, we're watching this 57 kind of level again. Couldn't reclaim the 40s, got nowhere near the 420s, and we're back down into lows. That is you pretty much covered. Let's get back into the futures. And you can see the bottom of my green box has probably just been absorbed. Yeah, right into that pivot. All right. This was the pivot we talked about. All right. Right into the bottom of this green box. That's your daily level going back to December 2024 or whenever it was. So we're watching now. Maybe we get relief back upside, and then we can think about what's what when we get there. All right, what's what when we get there. And we go from there, folks. So some of you might want to be trying to play the relief long. I'd just be very careful with a morning panic flush underneath this. And then if they do offer this long, it would be like this. If they stay heavy here, there is a short down to that. I won't be taking that short. I hate that short. I would much rather they do this move and I can think about selling these. All right, that's where we're at, folks. That is where we're at. Hopefully that newsletter the last few weeks has kept you safe. All right, and hopefully you've avoided, I'm not going to say their names, but traders calling absolute bullshit like they know exactly what's happening with this market when, you know, they're 15 years junior on me. I just think it's very dangerous to, I don't know how to put it, and be swayed by things said in press. All right, price action will tell you everything you need to know. I don't know who Banana Stocks is. No, I know I've seen them on Twitter before. I have no idea. I think they're an options trader, right? I'm pretty sure they trade options. I'm pretty sure they've been called out a few times, but I have no idea. That's nothing to do with me. That is about the best thing I've seen in chat. I just looked up. Smurf just said, I only trust you and myself. I'd even remove me from that. Trust yourself, right? Trust yourself. Learn to trust yourself. All right, starting to see this break higher here. So I'd be watching this, see if they find a bid or if they do a wash under here and then a reclaim. And I'm looking to see if we can come back into these this morning, which would be really ideal. 2 seconds left here, folks. Market's going to open up very, very red here. So let's see if we get a panic or a dip and a rip. Panic or dip and rip. They're trying to force this higher at the moment, but they can't get this breakout. They've had a sweep of those 57s. Let's see if we start moving higher here. It would be really nice if we started moving higher here. We've hit that higher time frame level, but like I said, no guarantees here. Just got to be a little bit patient. Q's holding that. Oh, I've got the wrong ones up. Let's get the spiders up. There we go. Q's holding that 570 gamma level. Spiders have got room to come lower if they really want to. I think good chance of a squeeze if buyers are happy with this level. It would be nice if they come and hit this during the New York session rather than just doing it pre-market. I'd say we're very thin above 62. All right, we're very thin above 62. Get this on here. Yeah, above 62, very, very thin for that move back into 773. I really want us to visit down here in the New York session and I can see what's what. Remember, we're in a sell, absolutely in a sell. Right, so if you're going to take the longs for that move back up today, you're in a counter trend long. Very, very hard move. Today, by the way, let's get those likes in nice and early. If we can get us to, I don't know, we get to 1,000 likes, I'll do an Apex giveaway. We get to 1,500 likes, I will do a Lucid giveaway today. So 1,000 likes, we'll do an Apex. 1,500, I'll do a Lucid giveaway. So just wait to see if we can retest these levels. ES coming down, breaking the lows already. Like I said, ES still got a little bit further to go. NQ's already hit that pivot. Here's the sell back down. Again, no position for me, just waiting. I did have a long pre-market, made some money pre-market already, just a little bit. And I'll just wait to see if we come into this pivot, which we're starting to come into, and I want to see how we hold here. If we're going to panic sell lower, it's going to be very hard to trade. VIX right at that 30s. We have to see if we break out and hold above that 30s today on VIX. It's pretty simple in this market at the moment. Either we're going to go into complete and utter panic and they're like, get rid of everything over the weekend. We are worried about escalation. Or we're going to see some relief come into this market where they're like, hey, too low. I'll give you a readout on the market as well. Or on the mag, I should say. Tesla, 1.36% down. Nvidia, 0.55% down, right at that 170 level, huge level. Microsoft 1.5% down, Meta 1.30% down, Google 1.05% down, Amazon 1.27% down, Apple relative strength. All right, green on the day again, probably coming back into its closing point from yesterday at the moment. But we've had relative strength on Apple, which is why I'm still holding my longs on Apple. And I tell you what, if and when this market does start to crumble and we get a pullback on Apple, I'll be loading the boat on that thing again, because I love seeing relative strength in that. And it's got no exposure or very limited exposure to AI, which is why we're seeing that, which is why Microsoft's getting crushed more than the others. Netflix into the dip, where are we at? No, not at all. Still into the 94s. It held the top of the gap on Netflix, right? So remember, I'm long in the 70s on Netflix. I need this to come much deeper if I'm going to add to my position. We held the gap yesterday in Netflix on the daily. Yeah, news at 10. You're right, news at 10. All right, back down into these pivots. 640, the big level on the SPY, and 6470 on the ES, and then under that 6450, 6445. So the sell in full place, and we have room now right down to this if they really want to get nasty. Again, just going to have to wait. Come on, but Matt, what are you doing? There we go. So it's the undercut there on the NQ. We're into like negative squeeze territory. ES coming into that 470 kind of level. And they're selling everything right now. It's going to be very hard for me to warrant trading down here if they're going to do that without a sufficient retest. Because they've got lots of room. If they want to let go of this all the way down into this next pivot, they can. Big sellers coming in at these lows. Right, there's just absolute panic at these lows. Not a buyer in sight right now. There's 470 on the ES. There's 640 on the spiders. We've just tagged it. Still adding liquidity lower. No buyer in sight really yet. Slamming and slamming and slamming. So it feels like a bit of a panic again, which is going to make it hard for me to warrant doing anything, basically. The big sales came in at 60, by the way. So that's like your kind of pivot as we come back into this, into the 60s. For any of you that are short, if we start breaking over 60s, they're going to come and test 70s. If we break that, we're going to go to 600s. There's the 60 test. There's still liquidity lower. Absolutely liquidity lower still. Right down into 20s. There's the 60s test again. VPOC now moved down here. They lift 60s, they go 70s. If they lift 70s, they go 600s. There's the drive from, or attempt of a drive from 60 to 70s. Are any buyers willing to show up? There's the move towards 70s. No buyers on the tape still. They just keep adding liquidity lower and lower and lower. There's now guys down at 475. I'm going to keep looking down on the book to see if there's any big lots anywhere. 410s, nothing too big yet. It's the first time we've seen a bit of absorption down there to 25s. Strong selling coming in at these lows. Let me just check this other chart. Yeah. The 60s is a big level. They've sold it aggressively numerous times. Now buyers trying to come back in at 60s for this squeeze. It's tempting. It's tempting. Here's the 70s test. Imbalances here. If we go through 70s, we're going to go 603s. Watching this very carefully. Here's the squeeze. So we're going to go and test 600s now. If they start reclaiming that, I'm vaguely interested in the long back up. It's the hardest trade in the book, but we'll wait and see. They can still reject this pivot. And you can see how we've just built out lots of volume down here. Need to give this some time to shake out. So that 470 ES held, the 640 SPY held. Those are your big gamma levels, they just held. but I'll remind you, we're very, very heavy and negative. It's just whether this market is willing, right, to find any relief. All right, above, what did I say that level was? Above 660s, we have squeeze relief right the way back up. All right, so I'm going to see now how we transition here into 600. If we start basing here for that move to 660s, I'll try and think about the long, and above 660s, I'll think about an add for a squeeze up to here, and then I'm going to think about the short if we get up there. Not before. Here's VWAP on ES as well, and the New York VWAP on NQ. VIX little pop over 30 and back to 30. So I'm just waiting for some direction to come into this market. Don't want to be early on something. Remember, the counter trend long, the squeeze long, it can pay you good, but it's the hardest trade in the book. The easiest trade in the book is to let that squeeze happen and get short when they're done squeezing it. All right, here's your TP. If you did take that long for that break of 60 to 70 to 610, this is your first TP. Then you're looking at 660, and I tell you what, over 660, you've got a chance to move into these 800s. And no, I'm not joking. Yeah, I think you've got a chance. Over 660, if they're willing to, that means they have to base above and hold sort of 660s, then there's a chance to move into 800s. Sellers will want to try and protect 660s. So rejecting 600 so far. Buyers would want to step in here at 72s if they're sort of going to protect these lows for the day. If they're saying we're done with that excess, they would want to now protect. Yeah, 70 certainly would have to protect the 60s. New all-time lows. I don't think so, my friend. Do you understand what would need to happen for that? All right, basing out here at the value area high. Again, above 660s. If you were long down here, you look good. You got to trim some here, and if you get this move here, this will happen. So your next target is to 660s, is 610s. So 610, 620s, then 660s, and if you get that move here, it would be very nice for you guys. But I would not guarantee it. All right, we're in a heavy sell, but certainly that's where the shorts will start getting squeezed out. Apple now 0.5% up, really impressive. Where are we at with Nvidia? Still protecting 170, starting to drive higher. Joe, I don't know how to answer that, mate, because I have no idea where you're short from, but you certainly should have covered a good chunk of your position. But how would I know if you need to get out of your short if I have no idea where your entry's from? Are you short for the last 3 hours? Did you just enter short at the lows? I have no idea. All right, here's the move back into the 60s. Like I said, buyers sort of need to protect 70s to 60s to have a shot at the lift. If they can't do that, you're going to break new lows because all the volume right now is trapped under 60. So as long as they can absorb here, which they're having a good shot at doing, then they've got a chance of a lift here, which they're trying to do right now. So now they need to print back above the 600s. They must print back above the 600s and 609s, and then they can look for that move to 640, 650 above. So they're trying to hold 570 to 560. Under 560, they will, or definitely under 560, they'll be in trouble. You get a new low break probably. So buyers will try and absorb here if they're going to get that relief. Come on, Bookmap, please stop doing that. Can I change this? Recenter settings. Last price. There we go. It's better. Here's the move back to the 70s. Remember, 70, 570, 560 needs to hold for buyers. Otherwise, there's a good chance of a break of a new low. Good attempt at absorption here. Come on, Bookmap. What's going on? I've just recentered you twice. You see these bids are starting to stack down here. Here they go. They're trying to get this squeeze. They are really trying to force this squeeze. It's very heavy print. If you look at the tape's very, very heavy, and the bids are trying to stack up down here, and we're just sort of jostling these 20-point rotations very quickly. What news is coming at 10? I think it's consumer sentiment today at 10 o'clock, if I'm right. I'm pretty sure it's consumer sentiment. So here they go. Good hold there from the buyers at 70s. You need to get back above 602s as a buyer. And then you've got imbalances to fill all the way up to 40s. Great hold as a buyer. Really good. Just make sure you're paying yourself because you are counter trend. These are very tough longs. You are counter trend long. But if they go, you're going to be very happy. If you can get back above 660s, you're laughing. But you've got to pay yourself in these moves. These are the hardest moves in the book that you can take. You're trying to get long on a huge sell. All right, so you must pay yourself because you're going against the grain. But you'll really be good once you base above up here, base above 660 because we're thin for the move back up. All right, so if you get back above this, you see what I'm talking about. We broke down from here, right, and the volume is all up here, right? So if you are able to get back above this and base, this becomes available. But until that point, you better be paying yourself in case they keep failing for new lows. If you've got long, I'm definitely not getting short down here. I'm going to wait. It's got to come much higher for me to get short, or it's got to break down really heavy and leave lots of buyers trapped. First move was better. Well, we're still developing. We're just developing a pullback. I mean, it's only been a few minutes, mate. You're only 15 minutes into the day. Like, it's still developing. Look, that's your first higher low. There you go. Here we go, folks. Here's value area high. So let's see now if they can clear out above 40s. You really get going, and above 60s and a base, you really get going. Here we go. Don't remember telling you to short at these lower days again, did I? Same as yesterday. So many people would have come in and see this market and just gone short at the lows and got themselves cooked. Right, you would want a base now, sort of 609 to 603. You'd want buyers to keep stepping in there. And ideally, you just go and run all the stops at 660 and then base above there. That's going to make it much easier for you guys who are long. Here they go. They're trying to get you up to 660 at the moment. Big imbalance coming in here into 35s. Big seller came in this morning at 40s. Through that, I think you got 60s on deck. Here you go. They're trying. So remember, this was the high. All right, December 2024 high. Oh, God, you're not going to let me draw it for the guys. This was the December 2024 high. We came into that pocket. There's your high low. They're trying to get you into here. If you base above this, you have squeeze potential up here. Make sure you're paying yourself into this move. Yeah, that's all right, Pierre. Like, it's absolutely fine to wait. Like I said to my team this morning, the same thing. Like, you can take the counter trend longs if you're happy to take the counter trend longs. If you're not comfortable doing that, just ignore it. Just ignore it and wait for the short to set up. That's also fine. Monday morning would be another tweet. Who knows, man? We have no idea. But he's extended another 10 days, so there's room now. I would say that there's so many things going on in this market to price in now. Like, it's not just about DJT. You have to understand, like, what if Iran doing something? What if Israel do something? You know, we don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. We don't know what's going to happen minute by minute. All right, as traders, all we can do is think about the potential effect of what might happen and price. All right, price and volume. Where are we in terms of location? Do we want to get short into an old all-time high pivot from December 2024. I tell you what, I certainly don't want to get short into there. All right, certainly don't want to get short into this pivot. It's a great hold. If you were watching the SPY 640, that is a great hold of that options level 640. I tell you what, if they want to be really nasty today, they'll fill that gap and get to the 200. I think it's asking an awful lot, but you just never flipping know. So the first thing to come up to is the 45s on the SPY. Come and test the 45, 645. All right, ES right at that New York Open. Big level here, folks. If you get over this, remember, if you base over this, you have squeeze potential. If you've been long, please make sure you've locked some into this. Please, 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 please make sure you've locked some into this. And then hopefully for you guys who are long, you get a base over 660 and you get a flyer. Because if you can get a flyer to 770, 780, 800, you're laughing, right? If you got long down on that 570 hold, so if you get 570 all the way to up to 800, you're laughing. But make sure you're paying yourself up here. I'm trading NQ. If your chart doesn't look the same, you've probably got delayed data or something, mate. All right, news coming here in 10 minutes. You want a retest of Monday's low? Yeah, that's exactly what this is up here. That's exactly what we're thinking. That kind of move up there. Can we get this up here to resell? And if not, here to resell. And if we get over this, you want to be careful. Certainly, if we get back inside a previous day's value area low, I won't be looking short. Just won't. Ideally, they don't keep selling it down here. And ideally, they let some relief come to sell it. Otherwise, it's just going to be one of those days where I kind of have to sit still a bit, and that's all right. All right, again, you're going to need the 600 to hold for you guys who are bullish. Otherwise, we melt this thing. No trades. I'm trying to wait for the short if it becomes available for me. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, I've said it the same thing this morning at the open. I said the same thing in Discord. If we go panic sell and we just melt this whole thing down, there's not a lot I can do with it, folks. Like, if they're just gonna like keep doing this, right? It's not that I don't think that can happen. I absolutely think it can happen. But my risk parameter, I want up here to sell. All right, a bit like yesterday. I want my levels. I don't want to chase into a higher time frame demand level to sell it down. It's really not what I want. What's the Discord? It's my Flow Zone Trader room. Comes for students who've done the 20-hour course. It comes free for that. All right, lots of buying just came in here at 74 and got stuck. So back to low of day again. Still no trade for me in the New York session. Still just waiting. But if you took 70s, you got, I don't know, you got 80 points out of that. Didn't get the 660 break. Like I said, you better be selling some up into that level. Nvidia well under the 170 now, by the way, 169.30. That's going to be a big problem for the market if it stays heavy at 170. A really big problem. And they're starting to sell value area low here. It's going to become really hard to trade this if we're just going to sort of hang around these nodes here and build nodes here all day because of the higher time frame. It's going to be very, very hard. And we're definitely bearish overall, right? It's just not a great position to trade from in sell side. Am I long in video? No. No. I think it's got a long way to come back in before I think about getting long in video. News here in 8 minutes, 7 minutes, sorry. You're thinking we just go sideways today? What, yesterday you're thinking that, or this morning? Maybe. I just think the daily's saying to me that, where are we? We're just going to keep coming down into these. We're into this right now. Remember, this is December's pivot. These are the areas we're drifting into. Ideally, we find a bid to sell back down. If we don't, this here into this node, 23 twos, 23 ones, 23 twos, we lose that. This is the ultimate node where I think market wants to come into. All right, from this point, I'm going to start thinking about long ETFs. Right, even here I'm interested, but if we get into there, I'm very interested in long ETFs. Because I think if we get there, the ETFs will probably come into this pivot, the equivalent of this pivot. Good excess at that low so far, but again, you're so bearish. ES back into 470, 465 kind of zone. They lose that, 445s. Let me just double check that pivot on ES. Where's that higher time frame pivot? Right here. So ES has got to get into 456 to come into the level we're at right now. So 456 to 445 is the level that ES might want to come into if it's going to do the same trade as NQ and come into that December 2024 pivot. So it's got room to come down. Right, here comes more panic in this market. Look at Tesla just getting absolutely whacked under 170 like we talked about. This thing starts to drift into the 23.5s now. Has room, folks. This thing has room. Do not be trying to catch this, please, like we talked about. All right, it either offered this squeeze back up and got over here for the squeeze, or we're just going to be in a panic sell. I won't be joining panic sells. This can come as far down as it wants without me. No, please say Trump's not talking. Are you serious? It's getting ridiculous now to like try and keep up with like each press conference. Iran reports that Israel airstrikes hit steel plants. I mean, everything they said they wouldn't do. VIX back at 30s again, by the way. 2 Chinese ship containers returned after trying to get through Strait of Hormuz. So they got rejected and turned around. Not seeing anything else yet. I don't see any Trump talking. I don't know who said that. I can't see it. All right, they're trying to sell these lows again into 500s. And if they get under here, they're looking at this next block. What I would have done for just a squeeze up to sell into today. I'm not going to chase. Here they come. 480s, 475, 470 all on deck here. Lots of selling around this 500 level. ES coming right into that pivot now, starting to come into that pivot we talked about. VIX breaking through the 30s. It's having a run at high of day. QQQ next level. Set 67's next level is 65 QQQ. This thing's going to keep melting. VIX is not falling. I don't know what you're talking about. VIX is currently trading at 30.31, mate. It's not falling at all. Still lots of selling from 500 and under. Break of 5, they can come and test 14 where the last buyer came in. But until that point, sellers are in control. Short target, next green box. If you took these shorts up here, next green box. And then under there, under there, the next thing to transverse into would be all the way down at 23,200. All right, if you get under this, it would be 23,200. And if you get under that, it would be 22,800. And like we talked about, it's possible. We've seen big days before. It's only requiring 800-point sell. All right, still sellers in absolute control down here. I'm going to ignore chat because some of you are just asking silly questions. Use your own eyes, please. Look at your own charts. Still the selling piling in here. Sellers are in total control under 500 right now. Not a buyer in sight. Not a buyer in sight here. Buyers would need to reclaim 500 and 514, otherwise they're going to remain stuck. There's the test towards the 5. This is where the sellers last came in. As the 5's through here, they're going to test the buyer at 514. Buyer just tried to come in again here. This is a big level here at the 5s, and then they're going to test 14s. And if they get through 14s, they've got a shot at moving higher. But at the moment, they're struggling to get through 5s to 14s. 14s will be the big level. So a big buyer coming in here, getting absorbed so far. Book's gone dark. Okay, we've got news here as well. Coming in 3 seconds, folks. Just seen that. I was like, why is the book gone dark? Whoosh. Look at that wash. Woohoo! Crazy market. That's some orders and a half. All right, good excess down there. Really good excess down there. Sellers still in control until you get back above 14s right now. Sellers still in control. We did leave excess down there. They keep adding bids so much lower, though. I'm not going to chase this market short. Just can't do it. My YouTuber's delayed 6 seconds, mate. Again, like all these people that are new here, if your YouTuber's delayed longer than 6 seconds, that is your internet speed, your computer. My YouTube is the quickest it can be. All right. All right, here's the 500 test. Through here, they're going to test 14s, which is where that last buyer came in. Here's the 500 test, then they're going to test 14s. We have good excess now under 80s. I will say sellers now potentially caught under 80s if buyers can take control here. So you have good sell excess into this green box under 80s, right? I'll show you. Under 80s, we have good sell excess under 80s. Here's the buyer level 14, right? This is why we're testing 14s, where the last big buyer came in was at 14. You can see currently he's still stuck. So the rotation will be 81 to 14. Excess under 81. Buyers will want to print and hold 81. Sellers will want to defend 14. That is your current rotation. Back down to that level where we had excess, what we just talked about. What did we say? 81, sort of around there. And if buyers can't defend this, a break of a new low because they just came and tested that buyer at 14s and rejected it, and you're in like the liquidity build stage of this lower time frame now. So buyers will want to protect 80s, sellers will want to protect 14s. That's your transition. So you see they're trying to hold 80 and they're trying to get back up to 14s again. We're right in the midpoint of this. And through 14s, they will come and test value area low and opening range low, which is 30s. And if we go back through that, then it'll probably be a look below the opening range and then the potential for them to move back to 6s. All right, so if we get through 14s, oh my God, can we please draw this? If we get through 14s, we want to see if they reject value area low and orb, all right, for this move. If they reclaim this, then they're going to try and set the squeeze up to 600s. So here's the test of 14s right here, right now. Sellers coming in aggressive, trying to defend this. Very aggressive there on the tape. And if buyers can step in and absorb this, they're going to have a shot of a move back to 31s. More sellers coming in here again, trying to defend this. You can see it's a huge level around this 14s. They know it's a big, big level now. And if we get through 14s, we will test 31s. Huge, huge selling came in there. Huge delta. Huge. There you go. Big aggressive selling at 14. So you can see that level became very important for them then. That is also the 640 level on SPY. So we're going to go back down and test the 80s again. Can I show you? Show you what? I don't understand. Show you what? I just showed you where the sellers were and why they would be there. They just came back in again. So there was a big buyer stuck here. They just sold very aggressively against him. And this is your transition, 80 to 14s. Through 14s, we test value area low opening range. Through that, if we find acceptance through it, we're going to come right back up towards the 600s. Well, that's the battle right now. Sellers want to set a lower high against basically this node. All right. If they can't protect this node in here and we find acceptance through it, this becomes possible. All right. Sellers really want to defend this and keep forcing it lower. That's what they're attempting to do. What was that window? It's just NinjaTrader reading footprint and order flow. Can we get a trade today? All right, VIX back under 30. Look above 30 and failed twice today so far. It's kind of basing there or thereabouts at the moment. And you're doing this transition, 14 to 80s is where you're stuck. It's really about like heavy selling coming in here again at 500s. It's really about like, do sellers really want more? Are they willing to try and sell more under 80s today? How much more have they got in the tank? Like how much lower do they want to go? Because ES, I'm pretty sure, has just hit the pivot that we already hit on NQ. Let me just double check on ES. Yeah, look, we just hit that pivot. We came wick to wick. So we've done the move. We've done the catch-up trade. So it really depends. Do they want any more on ES? You know, are we going to see weakness under that December pivot? Like we talked about, it's a big level. Why not short here? Where, like, you tell me, Rex. You tell me, where's the liquidity? Why are you trying? Where are you trying to go to? If shorts are currently stuck under 480 and we've hit higher time frame yearly pivots from 2024, right? Let me ask you, if you want a short here, do you have a good location? Do you think your location is good here? All right. We're at low of week, low of year, low of month into 2024 higher time frame pivot. Is that a good short location? I would say no. It's not only is it not a good short location, it's the worst short location of the year. So even if it works out for you, even if it goes lower, what are your rules? Like, how do you define your rules there? Where are you trying to get down to? No, my sound didn't disappear. Your sound disappeared. No. And again, knife catching down here would be trying to take the longs. It's not what we're trying to do either. I'm happy to wait for the short. I think there's potentially like a squeeze back up today and I can wait for the short. I'm certainly not going to short the lows. We're not seeing enough come in yet. Like all that I would say, the only long right now is versus 80, right? Versus 480. If they keep absorbing versus 480, maybe, but you haven't broken above the 14s yet. You haven't got back inside the opening range yet. You haven't proved anything to me yet. I don't mean you. I mean, like, the market hasn't proved anything to me yet. Like, this can... I want you guys to understand something. This thing can absolutely move lower. It can move 1,000 points lower. I'm not denying that. But is there good location to get short at? Is there good reason to get short at? I don't really want to be short when I know ES is trying to find a pivot. Like, I really need a squeeze higher to short into for me to be comfortable. Right, here's the move into 80s. 143 lot, sorry, 209 lot buyer just came and stepped in right in this VPOC of 85s. So buyers need to protect this. If they don't protect 80, we will make a new low of day, I would say. So this is what the buyers are trying to do. They are now attempting to protect the current low where sellers are caught. Sellers are caught under 80 currently. All right, so you can see right here, sellers are caught under 80. We can see it in the delta. We just had a 143 lot absorption. It was actually a 209 lot buyer, came right in here at 85. He was a market buyer. And if they hold this, they're going to try and get back to the 14s. This is the transition that I keep talking about. 14s to 80s, 14s to 80s. That's the battle of the big hands right now. More absorption trying to take place at 80s. Yeah, if they break 80s, we're into excess. They can try and go for those lows. ES looks very weak by comparison. And this is just a no trade zone for me right now. Welcome to the team, man. I said we're in a major sell. It's just we've lost location. The best location, unfortunately, which seems to be happening every day this week, right? The best location was London, Asia, wasn't it? You know, retest of high time frame algo, 24,000. All right, there's your good location. Even this, good location. Down here, great momentum, terrible location. All right, so 80's holding again. They're going to try and get back to 14s again. We've just seen this rotation over and over and over. Remember, big sellers came in at 14s. If they start breaking through 14s, those sellers might be forced to cover. Those sellers, I would imagine, will risk up to sort of 30s at the moment. So we're still in that range of 80 to 14s. Mag all red, other than Apple. 0.85% up on the day. So 500s. Remember last time a big seller came in here about 5 minutes ago, 500s. Can they lift this up to 14s? And if they do, are they going to break 30s? And then we're going to have a look below and fail. Here's the test towards 14s. I'm interested in this long if they start to base above because we have good excess on the day. So there's 14s test again. And then for me, we've got to get back inside this opening range. We've moved value area low now. Here's a big 100 lot seller here. He might get himself caught. So they're trying to sell 100. So this is the move back into 35s. Let's watch now if we find acceptance inside. Looking good. So any base above 14s now, I'm kind of interested. So here's the opening range test, the 30s. So any base here into 14s, I'm interested. Here's the squeeze. You're going to give me any opportunity here. So watching you, if you did take the long from 14s or 80s, right? If you did take the long from 80s or 14s, right? You're watching these now. Watching this move in towards VWAP, you're into the opening range. You need to find acceptance here on pullbacks to get into here. And if you get through that, 600s like we talked about earlier. And if this just squeezes, I'm not going to get the opportunity to get in because these sellers piled in down there. So this pullback now, if we hold 14s, vaguely interested in the long. Got to be very careful because it can be a 2-leg, which then fails. So I want to see us come back towards sort of 14s and 20s, and how we hold there. If we absorb there, I'm interested in getting long. I know it's counter trend. I'm very aware of that. Currently just sat at this opening range. Need it to come a bit lower. Big seller coming in here, another 100 lot. Here's the test towards it. So how we act here becomes important. Can we see absorption on the tape here? They're trying. Back into where all these sellers came in. It's very tempting to get along here, but I'm not seeing enough yet on the tape. Here's the 14s, his 13s, they're still selling it. His 500, still nothing. Tape very, very heavy. So this can still be a 2-leg pullback, which fails the opening range. Still the tape heavy. Still the tape heavy. They've walked down now to 12s. Still no trade for me. Still tape heavy. See buyers like re-engage here and get back above that selling level. This is the 14s. There's a seller back here at 14s again. Let's see. He's trying to absorb the tape. Don't like it. Don't like what I'm seeing. No one's stepping up to the plate yet. Here we go. Now they're coming back in. This is where the seller came back in. All right, let's see. Let's see if they're going to engage here for the squeeze to 600. This opening range, very, very important. This pullback has to hold sort of 14s, 15s. They've just left an imbalance here, maybe 08s, but can't start flushing underneath that. All right, small guy long here. I'll give it to, where's this node? I'll give it to 07, 08. What is this node? 04. Ideally, we just hold 14s now. We've done a lot of work there. And we need to break back above 30s where that 100 lot seller came in. And then we've got a chance to lift. Otherwise, we can still reject opening range and we can still make new lows on the day. So I'm very tight on risk here. I'm just trying to see if we want to lift through. Here's the 30 test. Right, can we get through here and start moving up towards 600? Paying myself a little bit here just in case we get a failure right into this seller. And ideally, we can start lifting back up to VWAP and 600. Here we go. So I want to pop this guy at 42s to get up to VWAP. Where's VWAP? I'm going to get a limit out here, 56s. Ideally, we just absorb 30s now because that last seller came in at 30s. Down to small size here. Good absorption at 30s, really nice. Can we get aggressive here for this lift to VWAP? Beautiful, beautiful. Don't be a dick for a tick here, and then we see if we get 600 over it. Remember, this is counter trend. They can still flush this into VWAP if they want, so pay yourself on the way up. Really nice. Really, really, really nice. And if we get through VWAP, we're going to look for this node up here, okay, into 93s. 93s to 600. That was a really good hold. That's what I wanted to see. They had to prove to me that they were going to run these guys out. Come on. Come on, guys. I'm telling you, hardest trade in the book. But once you understand order flow, you can understand when they're trapped and why they're trapped. This is fantastic. All right, TP hit. And then we'll just see if we can get a runner up to 600. If we get over 600, we're going to look for this move here. All right, and we can re-add up there for that squeeze. But I'm taking most of my position off into this and this. Really nice. Really nice. All right, if you're going to stay long, you really want this to hold the 30s. All right, because these sellers here need to stay stuck. All right, this is really good now. And if we can base above 30s and leave these sellers stuck, I mean, technically you can risk 16s, but I'd want to stay base above 30s, and then we're going to look for the move to 600. All right, but please make sure you've paid yourself into VWAP here, and then you can just hold, see if we get 600. And if we get the 660 break, then we're on like Donkey Kong for the move to, was it 8 or 9s? 8s. Okay, so you need this to hold 30s now. In my mind, this has got to hold 30s for my runner. I don't really want this to come back towards 15s again. All right, so in my mind, we've got to hold 30s here, which is where we're coming into, that opening range. I'm not holding it because of the opening range. I want to hold it 30s. I'm getting very close to stopping out here because they're getting aggressive. All right. No. I'm watching this buyer at 25s. What was that last week? 28s. Still in, just. Only because this buyer stepped up. Okay, I'm going to move. I was going to stop out at 30s, but I watched the buyer at 25s there. I'm going to risk 30s now and not a cent more. Nice. Good hold. Really nice hold. And there's a 217 lot come on at 600 now, which is great. So we've got someone to aim for. They're saying, hey, I'm a magnet. Come and get me. Or hopefully we can come and get him. We come back down to 30 now, I'm out because I've moved. I'm inside that wick now because the buyer came in at 25, and if we lose 25, it's going to go 500. So I'm at 30s now on the dot. My stop, that is. 30s on the dot here. Remember, this still can be a bear flag to fail. So very close. Buyer still at 25s. Good chance to get taken out here. He's not stepped up above 25s. He's just hanging around 25s. And I don't mind getting taken out. It's fine. I sold a lot of my chunk into view up. Go on, please hold me. Please hold me up to 600s. They're stacking sellers here at 50s. Come on, baby. Come and lift it. That seller moved from 600 to 90s now, 87s. You can see he's just moved his order down. So he's desperate to get filled. 280 lot. He's at 90s, yeah. So he's just moved 10 cents down. So he's trying to front run that 600 now. So he's trying to play the edge of this. Right, the seller, you can see him on the book above me, 218s. He's right here. So I might front run a bit out of him, because he's moved from 6 to here. So he's trying to protect this shelf, that seller. Heavy tape. Woof. This needs to be absorbed. That was a very quick heavy tape there. Literally just flashed red so hard. Good absorption. We didn't even move off it. It's great absorption. Come on, step up, mate. Mr. 25, can you come and join the tape at 45s, please? No, don't move down, you prick. Tape's getting heavy here. I'm going to get knocked out. Can feel it. Out. It's okay. Give it a chance. Try to give it a chance. It's all right. It's that guy at 25. All he had to do is come and join the tape at 45. What an arsehole. You're back in shorts? I mean, you can be back in shorts, yeah. I mean, versus VWAP, like we said, it might fail here and this node here. I would just say with shorts now, the tough thing that you've got to understand is you need to cover some into that because they can still absorb this. And you definitely have excess under here today. All right, so do not hold full positions is what I'm trying to say. Like if you were short, if you've taken the VWAP short, cover some here, definitely cover a big chunk into this node. All right, because under here, if I can move it, under here, you have really good excess. All right, all this is all sell side delta. All right, which means there was a buyer absorbing the tape down there. It doesn't mean it can't move lower. It just means that you have to like pay respect to it is what I'm trying to say. Woof, 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 woof. Here they come. All right, back down into here. So if you were short, cover a good chunk into this node, please. Maybe forming a double bottom. Way too early to say something like that, my friend. How could you say that? You're basing that off a 1 minute chart without seeing anything yet. I mean, we've added like a 2-leg up. All right, we would need this to hold 30s or wherever it was. Was it 30s? Yeah, didn't hold 30s for the squeeze. All right, so like we said, this can still be a bear flag. If I was short in this bear flag, I'd be covering a massive chunk into here because we don't know if it can rally. If they fail under here, right, they come and test the excess, and if they break the excess, there's options data's low, and we've got reasons to move lower if it really wants to. I'll tell you what, ES is looking a little bit better than NQ at the moment. Where's Nvidia? 68. There you go. So that's why. Have a quick look what the next level is in Nvidia, because I might have to set a new price alert for a breakdown. Give me a second, folks. So did that back test? Did we back test and fail? Oh yeah, we did. Okay. All right, so this is what I said. Cover a chunk into this node. Hopefully you have. I think JD, you might have got short there off VWAP, which was good. Cover a chunk into this node, please. All right, because you don't know what happens here. All right, ideally, if you're short, you see that. For me, I just can't get short around here. It's just way, way, way too risky for me. I'm not interested in short today. I would love to be short today with my friend. I would absolutely love to be short today, but I'm not interested. Remember, all right, this currently is low of year. All right, it's the lowest point we've been at, in fact, since July 2025, and it's the higher time frame pivot from February 25 and December 2024. All right, so I do not want to be short in here. I would love to be short today, my friend, anywhere up here. All right, I'd love to be short anywhere up here for a short. All right, but I cannot get short down there. It's just, it will be breaking all my rules. Is the momentum great? It's fantastic. The momentum is fantastic for downside, but it's very hard for me to warrant trying to do something like this. All right, but it's very easy for me to warrant these moves. That's all it is. It's not that I particularly want to be long. I'd much rather be the short side of this, but I just don't love the location. All right, so I'm just trying to stick to my rules. Buy again, you have SMT divergence. Well, you just had ES reject VWAP on that last drive up. So we'll see. At the moment, I'm not going to just buy for the sake of buying. We'd have to get back above all of this, right? So you've got to understand now. Sellers are caught under here. We're right back into sub 14 level. All right, this is the transition. All right, there's no way I'm buying now unless I see this. All right, we'd need to get back above this. How wide do I put my stops? As wide as they need to be, my friend. That might sound like me being an asshole. It's not. It's as wide as they need to be. Every day is different. Every chart is different. Every formation of volume is different. Every formation of swing high and swing low is different. My stop will be as wide as it needs to be. The wider the stop, the less size I use. All right, if I'm using a wide stop, I better be expecting a big move. I don't use what the level tool data for Ninja. Do you mean like, because it comes with L2 in order flow? Do you mean the DOM? I don't use the DOM in Ninja. I only use the DOM, as you can see above me on Bookmap. How do I get the course in Discord? The link should be at the top of the chat? Is it not there? Did I forget to put it in today? I'll put it in again. There you go. Should be pinned down. All right, so again, the big selling are starting to be comfortable. These 380s that we talked about, 480s, sorry. 480s are the big level. All right, so we've done that 80s hold that we talked about earlier. Remember 80s to 14s, 80s to 14s, 14s broke, took us up towards the 50s. We're back at these 80s again. You see under here, very, very thin, but it is all sell side under there at the moment for now, which means at least in that first visit underneath this, there was a buyer. All right, there was a limit buyer saying, I'm going to gobble everything up in here. All right, at least in that first visit. It doesn't mean he's able to keep holding the bid, but at least in that first visit, he was there. Doesn't mean he's there again. It's not a good location for a short down here. And you can see he's here again. He's trying to absorb the tape. So 122 lot just got absorbed again there on the book. So a big seller came in, got absorbed again into 80s. They are buying all the way down to 30s, 25s, 40s right now. They're just sat down there. VIX right at that 30s again, folks, as well. Did I ever do a short on how to set up Bookmap? I didn't do a short. I did a short video, not a short, like a 10-minute long video on my YouTube. If you go to my recent videos, it will be there. And still, these buyers are trying to soak the bid here. They're trying to soak it. And volume profiles on a 1 minute. Yeah. Oh, JD never fails to make me laugh. It's so nice to have someone in chat who's been here a long time who has a sense of humor. Okay, still they're trying to absorb 80s. They're trying to get more aggressive on the bid on 80s at the moment, but it's not what I'd want to see. But you can see sell side delta now, 278 sell side delta at 80s. It's a big level, standing out like a sore thumb right now. Do I trust it? Do I F? No chance I trust it. How long do I give the charts to show me a good entry? Well, all day if required. I mean, it depends how much mental capital I've got. All right, another hold of 80s. All right, which is now value area low on the day. So again, this is all excess. It's a good low underneath that right now. It doesn't mean I trust it, but it is a good low underneath it. And they're going to come back and test these 14s by the looks of it, if they can. So VPOC now at 500. 14s again, or 14s, 15s, still that level that we transitioned from earlier. They can still make a lower high here on the lower time frame, all right, which is why I'd be very, very cautious here into these 14s. So the 80s hells, they absorbed the tape. They're trying to walk this tape up now. They're actually joining the bid here at 90s and 95s, trying to force this squeeze up. Right back into the 500s, into VPOC. Again, the 80s is a huge level. Huge, huge level. Nvidia 68s now. VIX just basing around 30s. It's not what you want to see as a buyer. Initial balance now set. Yeah, you're right. IB has been set. We can think about where we would be in an expansion model. I'm not convinced we get expansion today, but let's have a look. 242, 23,242. What's the other one? 347, 350. That the measured 100% measured move's an interesting level. It's possible. It's possible. We'll see. Please stop spamming, mate. Stop spamming. How to learn from me. Click the link above. How to get to the indicator. Click the link above you, pinned in chat. Right? Do the course. Do the stuff for free on my YouTube. How not to learn from me. Spam and upset me and annoy me. You just get moved. All right, 80's still being absorbed down there. Buyers trying to step in at 500s. They need the 15 break. So 18s to 15s still the same level. 14s, whatever. Same kind of level, 18s to 14s. There's so much liquidity below 80s, though, at the moment. It's not like we're seeing them really step on the gas here, the buyers, and try and like force it up. They've already failed VWAP once today, right? So sellers are still in control here. It's just whether they can take out the excess. Yeah, even the GEX levels. Yeah, I save you a fortune just by putting those up. Did some data come out today? Yeah, you had consumer sentiment, but I don't think the market cares too much about that right now. The only thing the market really cares right now is about the war and its effect on oil prices and energy prices, which will then affect everything else. Food prices, which in turn affect inflation, which in turn affect the Fed's ability to cut rates, which they won't if inflation starts going up again, which will affect your back pocket. I have no thoughts on candle range theory. Don't trade it, don't know what it is, don't care. Back to these 80s. They're trying to get the break of 80s to get that lower day test at the moment. There's a seller, just keeps getting absorbed down here into 80s. He's not comfortable yet. He's still stuck, this seller. Give you guys low day. I mean, it might happen soon, but you can see this 80s. It's such a big level, folks. It's such a big level. We're exactly the same place as we were earlier, right? This transition. Remember, sellers got caught under 80s. We came up to the 14s. Buyers got caught. We did this transition. We then broke out and held. We failed VWAP. We've come back down. And we're in this same build out here. And this is the battle here. If sellers win, they'll try and swipe this down, right? If buyers win, they'll try and force this compression out. I have no position here and no interest. I'm certainly not shorting down here like I've talked about. It's literally one of the worst locations of the year. Even if it goes for you, I'd rather stick to my rules and not make money than break rules and make money. Why does the market move the opposite for you for where you enter? Probably because you're chasing the market. It's normally why. If the tape is heavy below and price dips below the initial balance and fails a retest, would you be interested in a short scenario? No, not really. I know what you're saying. Like if we get this, it would have to stay heavy here. And even then, I just really feel very uncomfortable, right? Trying to play momentum right the way down here, all right? Just look why we're trying to look at the location of the short. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just such a bad location to get short. Move you to a 4 hour. Right, look where we're getting short. We don't even have any data on the contract, right? We're just so far away from anything. Again, it doesn't mean it can't be low, go lower. Like, absolutely can keep moving lower. Got targets lower, but I'd much rather see a squeeze out. Maybe I'll change my mind and I see like enough buyers get caught. But at the moment, I'd want to be really, really careful, because everywhere from 80 down to low of day is all sell side, and we've every time we come down here, we're turning around. Yeah, if like, I would agree with you. Someone said that as long as you're playing your system, look, there's your 15 orb. You failed VWAP, you failed orbs. It make like there's downside pressure. I'm not denying that. There's absolutely downside pressure. It's just not a location. If the orb was set, look, if we set the orb up here, I'd be absolutely willing to play it. But like, again, excess down here. Now your key is 80s, right? If they get back above 80s, the sell's finished, right? But if they reject 80s, maybe you can keep puking this out. VIX into that 30s again. And keep adding liquidity lower and lower and lower and lower. This can keep dragging down, absolutely can. Just don't like the location. I might kick myself for not taking it, but it's all right. So sellers trying to defend 70s here in front of 80s. You can see they've just put a little block up there at 70s. 80s is your level, right? You get back inside of 80s, I would say, be done with the sell. Oh, Nvidia, 167.64. Things getting hurt. Give you a readout on the mag. Tesla 2.20% down, Nvidia 2.06% down, Microsoft 1.77% down, Meta the week one 2.80% down, Google 1.05% down, Amazon 3% down. All right, you've had a look underneath the IB there, and you're absorbing. Again, 80s is your level, folks. Is absolutely the level here is 80s. Here's the test towards it. Buyers are trying to come in and get you back into the 80s. Sellers will need to sell 80s, otherwise you're going to get caught. Here's the 80s test. Remember, that's where that last seller was. And if you get back through 80s, then they're going to go back to 515s, and then potentially there's a long back up again. All the time you defend 80s, you're fine for sell side. Good defend of 80s there. Tyson trade. At the moment, the expansion model is looking better than the reclaim model at the moment. You do have divergence with ES. QQQ has got a little bit lower to go if it wants to go to 565, which is basically the equivalent of 415s down here. But we'll see. Like, I'd consider longs if we start basing above 80s, and certainly above 500s, and certainly above 515s. But I'd much rather be short today if we can just do some nasty squeeze out. We're just not seeing it. We're just not seeing it. We're just seeing a drip lower. No, I don't have a video on GEX. I don't. I really just use them for Confluence. There's much better options traders out there who would use them from me. Like, if you want to learn options, I would say go and watch Sanglucci or someone like that. And it's beyond my wheelhouse. I use them to understand like where they're positioning, where they're hedges, especially for 0DTE. But as long as it lines up with Confluence, when they're way off my Confluence, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this doesn't make sense. Maybe the dealers are looking at something else. Okay, they're coming back to test 80s again. And this is value area low now starting to shift lower. This is your shelf here. So 85 is your POC. All right, so this is the same as earlier. Sellers want to defend this block. All right, sellers are trying to defend this block here to move lower. At the moment, they're doing a good job of it. And there's so much liquidity. Look at all these like limit orders just stacked all the way down to 400 now. Longs look good here? Not for me, not yet. Not yet. Seller's still in control. We have excess, but seller's still in control. Until you reclaim 80.85, there's no condition for a long. There's so many people to fill on a swipe here down to 400. So many. Will the market go lower than Tottenham? Is the market going to get relegated? I don't know. Okay, IB holding again here. Value area low is now IB low. Watching this into 80s. Here's the test of 80s again. I'll consider a long if we start basing up here. Big buyers starting to come in here. So let's see if they get absorbed by the sellers at 80s again. Yep, so far VPOC rejecting it at 85. Buyers will now want to support 50s, which is where they are. 60s actually. So 60s to 80s is a rotation. Over 80s, 80s to 500s, and then 515s. '80s still rejecting. Still sellers up there. It feels like it's going to move much lower because of these guys stacked on the book. It's not like they're moving up. Look, 450, 440, 430, 425, 420, 410, 415, 405, 400, 395. They're just sat there. They're not interested in bidding up. And every little pop is still being sold into. Look at that last pop up into 80s, instantly sold into. Feels like they want to move much lower at the moment, but I just feel very, very uncomfortable about taking a trade in this location. No, I don't think. I think the Apex sales are done. You can probably use my code for 50% off or something, but the big sales are done. They give you enough time, man. They give you like a month. How do you determine equivalent levels on SPY QQQ with ES? Thanks. You just have to watch them. But again, like we talked about, there is divergence. When you look at the dailies at the moment, there's divergence. The ETFs are way, way lagging behind the futures market into those daily levels. So you'd need to draw the ETFs out differently, right? But you need to look at support mechanisms differently. Like if you look at the ETFs right now, if you look at go and look at QQQ, we're nowhere near that December pivot, right? So we have to understand that if cash players, options dealers want to sell QQQ down, we can go much, much lower. All right, that is a look below on fail so far underneath the IB, and we're going to come back to these 80s again, and we can just keep seeing the same thing over and over. There's actually pretty poor price action on a Friday, again, because they had a brilliant move overnight again. There's still nothing until we get back above 80s, 85s. But we have just seen some excess again at the lows. ES did the same thing. Here's the 80s, 85s. All right, I'm going to be interested if we start to perk up here. If we start to like push and base. Not just push and be sold into. All right, that's nothing. That doesn't mean Doesn't mean a thing, but if we can push and base, I'm going to start to be interested in the initial balance rotation back towards VWAP, but it's, fuck me, they're going to make it hard. I'm watching 500s and 515s again, all right, for that rotation. Here's the fives. And buyers will want to support 480s now. It's where that seller got stuck. They really won't want it back down to the IB. They can do it back down to the IB, but they want this 480s to hold now. Okay, long a piece here. Let's just see. Long a piece in that 480 hold. And let's see if we can get up to 415. Sorry, 515. Got to break 500 first, I guess. So I'm long from 480 right now from that last dip into that seller where he's caught. See if we can get 500, 515 and then set the squeeze. Not an easy trade, but we'll see. If they come back down, I'll take the break even. I'm not going to give it room. All right, here we go. It's the 5 test. Let's get through this, go 515 and then set the squeeze to VWAP, please. And then can we go 600s and I'll be very happy. Nope. Come on, buyers. Can we do something? Please don't knock me out break even again. Come on. Come on, here's 5s. Let's go 515 and then set the squeeze. Here we go. Let's fucking go. Nice trade there. To be very patient. All right, little piece off here into 15s just in case, and then I'm going to hold for VWAP and then 600s. Beautiful. Here's the 15s. All right, let's see if we can get VWAP and 600s. So looking for VWAP into sort of 38s, 47s, and then 6s. All right, and we want all pullbacks to hold here. There is an imbalance right now all the way back down to 86s, which is 85s, which is my entry. I really don't want it to come back there, but I've paid myself just in case we do come back there for the break even on the rest. But ideally, we just absorb now in front of 500s, right? That would be really nice. Absorb in front of 500s and get going to the upside here. Again, this is see why I don't want to be short at the worst location of the year. Hopefully, even if you get frustrated with me saying I'm not going to short down here and you guys want it, hopefully it just stops you doing bad things, bad trades. Here we go. Beautiful. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Looking for VWAP and then 6s. Here we go, baby. Here we go. Don't be a dick for a tick. Here's VWAP. Fuck yeah, baby. Let's get paid. Let's get paid. Right, let's rip. Let's rip some faces up to 6s now. Let's rip some faces up to 6s. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get through VWAP. Come on, buyers. Step on the gas. Step on the gas. Please, buyer at 30. Step on the gas at 30. Don't let us come below 30. Step on the gas at 30, you prick. Paying myself some more there. Here come the buyers trying to absorb the tape. Not going to let this come back under 15s. Because if we come under 15s, we can revisit 500s. But it's a nice trade. Another good move there from the 85s. And I can show you why I got long. Once we get out of this trade, I'll show you the seller who got caught and why. So this is the IB to VWAP trade, right? Initial balance, failed auction to VWAP trade. The trade for me, I took it once we held this level here. And I'm going to show you the seller who got stuck there and why. All right, and really you want to hold this. You really want to hold this level now if you're going to complete this. You do not want to come back into here for a rotation because this can still be a lower high that they sell. Did I play long? Yeah, like I said, if we hold and base above, I'll play long. It's not that I want to play long today. It's just not giving me a choice. I have to play long down here. It's not going to give me the short. We're nowhere near high enough for me to warrant a short. Right, really want SPY to hold 640 here on the gamma and get through its VWAP. And I'm looking for 6s up into this node. All right, so we're going to respect this pivot up here. All right, 47 to 70s. I would like 6s, 620s. All right, remember this was your negative squeeze level. Right, this is all negative squeeze. on options. Hopefully we can come up to this 620. I'm looking for this, and I tell you what, if we get above 660, I'm going to rebid this back up if we get above 660. Same as earlier today, because we're very thin above 660. Above 660, we will go 770, 780. But I paid myself no matter what. If we can't hold this top of this grey box, I'm going to cut a runner. Really need it to hold this top of this grey box. Wanted them to hold 530s, but they might come back down to 500s here. Okay, cutting this now, and I can always add back in on a flush. If we flush back down to 85s and hold, I can add back in. So still a nice trade. Made some nice money on that. Really good. I can show you why I got involved there. Right, same thing as we talked about earlier. Earlier in the day, right, this was all sell side excess. Right, this was all sell side. All right, we came down. I started seeing absorption down here again. I don't want to be early. I'm not going to bet on absorption. I want to see a reaction. All right, this green line is absorption. These are all sellers down here. Oh God, what is that? All right, those are all sellers down there. They get absorbed. Look at the 80s level. All right, the 80s level here on the delta is the big sell delta that I kept talking about over and over and over again. Once we print above 80s and held the M1 pullback into 80s, I was willing to be a dip buyer long versus 80s for that rise back up to fill the imbalance and get into VWAP. Same story now. Like if they hold 80s, you'd want to see absorption here into this seller at 80s. If they let go of 80s, we're coming back down to the low. So you want to see them print and hold 80s, which they're trying to do right now. All right, there's a seller just come back in on the tape around 85s. They need to hold 80s here. I'm not long. I'm out, and I'm going to watch this to see if they do hold. It's a good hold so far. It's just footprint, guys. I'm just showing you footprint. I mean, you can get it on TradingView like we talk about. Like I've got lots of videos on this for free on YouTube. You can see it all here. You can get it on TradingView. Same kind of story, right? These pivots, right? These guys here. Great hold of 80s there so far. Now you'd want to see this act as a higher low. This is the danger, right? Is you're back in this transition box, this grey box, all right? So you need buyers to support this, get back above this for this move. If buyers fail this, you will get that rotation. Right, it's why when I'm long counter trend, I'm locking in profits, right? When I'm long pro trend, I give it more room. Same, like if you're short pro trend today, you can give it a bit more room. How do you get it on TradingView? I think I did do a video on this. Right here, you can, if you've got premium, right, the type of candles you want volume footprint. There is a free video on my YouTube on how to set that up, like how to have it look like my ones. So this grey box is starting to, they're trying to absorb this grey box. Right? They are attempting to absorb this grey box. So 80s your level, right? Buyers, as long as buyers hold 80s, they've got a shot. Guess where we are? We're in the same rotation as earlier, all right? Same rotation as earlier. Nothing's changed, but buyers now have a shot at setting that higher low for that squeeze. If they fail 80s, they have failed to hold the price. VWAP on ES is now being reclaimed as well. So you look pretty good here. You're having some shots here at like trying to make this move higher. They're trying to get this move higher for you at the moment. And 80s is your level, all right? Again, I'm not in this now. Had my position, made my money. Pull that squeeze up. And if you can't hold 80s, you want to be not thinking about longs. Yeah, no worries. Hopefully that's helped you. There's lots of stuff on my YouTube for free. If you're new to the channel, thanks for subbing. Don't go and do my course straight away. Like I always say, there's tons of free education on my YouTube on how to set footprints up and how to get free order flow data for Ninja, and even some like lots of free education courses. Go and watch those first. You'll start to understand how I trade and why I trade. And then if you like how I teach and how I trade live and you want to learn more, then and only then should you be spending money on doing the courses. Those are all over at flowzonetrader.com. All right. How are we doing for likes, folks? We did say at the beginning of the day, I want to do 2 giveaways today, but we've got to hit certain parameters on the likes. How are we doing? So 2,200 of you watching. Oh my God, that is abysmal. Under 800 likes. So we said 1,000 likes. We'll do an Apex giveaway. 1,000, let's say 1,000. There's a lot of you here. 1,500 likes. We'll do a Lucid giveaway. All right, all you got to do is like the stream. Doesn't cost you any money. That's a great hold of that grey box, folks. All right, buyer coming in here at the top of this level at 14s again. So you don't want him to get caught. That's a good hold of the box, but the buyer is coming in here again. I'll delete some of these levels. Drawings. So we're right into the cluster, right, where they sold heavy earlier. Right, this cluster is where they sold heavy earlier. We know there's lots of sellers have been around here. Once we start breaking out, above 550, 560, these sellers are going to get forced to stop out, I would say. And then you might get that lift to 600 and above 660. Well, then every seller in this session is going to be absolutely cooked. That's a long way away right now, but it's possible. Did I move the goalpost? What were the goalposts to the giveaway? What did we have it? Because I'll move it back. I thought that's what I had. Did I change the Lucid one? Was it not 1,500? It was always 1,000 for Apex. What was Lucid? And we change it back if I did that wrong. My apologies. 1.5. Or some of you saying 1.2. Yeah, 1.5. Oh, it was 1.2. Okay, then let's do 1.2. So 1,000 for Apex, 1,200 for Lucid. Okay, there we go. Some of you saying 1.2. My bad. My bad. All right, so they're trying to force this high low. Here they go, folks. All right, here they go. So they're trying to get through all these levels now, and if they can start breaking above 30s and above 50s, then you should get a squeeze potential then up towards the 600s. All right, but again, if you're long, make sure you're paying yourself. It's time for me to have my bathroom break, which means it's probably going to do some huge move while I'm gone. I will be right back. Okay, still look all right here. Still in that same area as yesterday. Yesterday, that's earlier. God, still early for me. 8 a.m. Let's see if you can get print back above 30s here. 30s and 33s, and you can start getting going here. I never understand that question, Easy, when people say, what time frame do you trade? Because I'm watching higher time frame charts. I'm watching the key levels on dailies and hourlies, and I'm trading the rotation between those key levels on the lower time frame. I never really understand it. Do you just mean, if you mean execute, I'm executing on 1 minute, but my eyes are watching dailies, hourlies, and 5 minutes. But my execution is on 1 minute, so I can navigate where those buyers and sellers are. Here you go. Here's the test of 30s. Through here, you should get a pop. All right, if they can break through here, where this seller came in earlier, this is your opening range, right? Through 30, 32, 33, you should get a pop. Here we go. They're trying to lift it now. And then they come and test value area high. And if you get through that, the 600s, all right? So again, if you got long in the gray box, again, you want to pay yourself some into here. Hopefully, you get into the value area high and you lift towards the 600s. ES looks fantastic. Really good. We just want NQ to play ball here. ES looks really good. It's about to take out a pivot into 77. There you go. Here comes the squeeze. So they're trying to get it up to value area high now. So as long as you paid yourself something, you should be good. ES has now taken out that internal pivot. Just be careful because they do the sweep and fail here on ES. So if you're trading ES, you wanted to be paying yourself into 77s. Alex, thank you for what you teach. I just broke my 2-week losing streak of QQQ shorts. You're welcome. I was thinking about teaching you guys moon cycles recently. What do you think? Hope you're watching, mate. This is a protein snack. It is. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. I'm joking, guys. I don't trade anything other than volume and structure. Still basing out him. So you had a seller come in there at that. What was his level? 38. You're trying to break through this little micro shelf here. Break of that will come and try and test 47, and through that you can get the expansion. Again, ES remembers run the stops like we talked about. Let's go. There you go, folks. All right, there's your TP into value area high, and then let's see if you get any more. That was the squeeze we talked about above that seller. And these sellers will start getting a little bit wonky here. They're going to start getting scared here if you start to base and hold up here. These are the same guys from earlier, right? They're starting to be out of position. This is their level, 30s. That was the squeeze up to these old highs. That's why you needed to take some profit into value area high. And now you really want to see it base and hold 30s. If you can't, you're going to come right back down into the shelf. There you go. That might be it done with for a minute. Fuck all that shit, guys. It's all nonsense. I was taking the piss, man. I'm taking the piss. All right, we wait to see what we get now. How are we doing for the likes? Are we there for a giveaway yet? 1,000. All right, awesome. Nice work, team. All right, you know the score. The best code to use if you want to support me, support the stream. Your best code to use on all your favorite prop firms, FZT. Type it in chat once now. Please don't keep spamming. Just type it once. Troy, I've got some balls to counter trend. It was just because the setup was there, mate. It's just because the setup's there. I'd say the people who are getting caught are the short sellers under here right now, right? So this is the same trade. There's your initial balance low. Remember, these are higher time frame, big yearly levels, and we've caught shorts under them so that we come up to VWAP. We have the high low, we come up to value area high. It doesn't mean we can't come lower, but these are high probability trades into these levels. We don't know if it's going to come up to here. It'd be nice if it did. What is not a high probability trade, what is a very, 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 very low probability trade is shorting down here. All right, very low probability trade. All right, and unless they now build out this liquidity and do one of these, which would be the expansion model, but we're not seeing that. But you'll see, like I will wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until I see what I want on the chart. All right, it's not like I'm just like I'm going to long down here and F it and we'll see. I have to wait and see how the market reacts, which is why we got long. I think it was this candle here. All right, once the seller was caught, sweep, nice bullish move up, pullback, held the pullback into the 85s, 80s, and then we get this move. Remember, I sold here, stopped out. I didn't reload, used the bathroom. Now you've come into value area high for the day. You have a D-shaped profile developing here. You're in a rotation down here in the New York session. You guys another minute or so to do that. I know the thing is, if they spam, what they don't understand is Nightbot just pulls them out. This is I try and help them by saying not to do it. But people will do whatever they want. All right, let's pull this winner. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. URUBU. Are you here? URUBU. Is that? Yeah, nice. Is that URUBU from Discord, or is that a different? Is this someone else? I don't remember seeing this name. Oh, it is. Okay, awesome. Just hit me up on Discord then, just because I can never find the messages. I get so many private messages. Hit me up there, and I'll send you an Apex account. Yeah, I thought so. I was just checking because I was like, no, normally it's BU, but now it's saying URUBU. Yeah, I'll sort you out on Discord. Makes it easier. All right, so we need a few more likes. We need to get up to 1,200 likes, and we do the Lucid giveaway. Is Lucid a great prop firm? I'd say it's arguably the best prop firm right now. Yeah. Taking any more trades? Not right now. Not right now. We're just in a rotation. I don't know. Like Arua asking, is level 2 data better for Bookmap or Ninja Trader? I don't know. It's personal preference, man. Like I can't answer that for you. You'd have to try them out and see which one you prefer. Really depends what you prefer. Still holding this grey box, you can see this rotation just starting to take place. Right, this choppy rotation starting to take place here. That's why I'm like becoming less and less interested, because we're in a D-shaped profile and all the volume is now being built out here, and with failing edge to edge, and you've got about 80 to 90 points from edge to edge, and this is starting to happen. And when we do that, I'm not interested. You're going to need to leave volume, right, trapped to move lower, and this is a very, that's not a great trade location. It's possible that they do it. This is maybe better, but again, you're fighting the grain for that. So it's very, very hard to warrant doing much more at the moment today. Troy, you shorted the open. It's a good trade then. I mean, we barely moved higher, did we? I was hoping the open would be nasty and would come up here for me to sell. Which volume profile am I using? It's got to be the most asked question ever. Anchored volume profile. Please stop typing it like 5 times. It's really annoying, man. Like, please. We're bearish higher time frame. Yeah, we're very, 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 very bearish higher time frame. I agree. Which Lucid accounts do I recommend? Again, personal preference. For me, I prefer the flex, but it's personal preference. For me, I like the flex because there's no consistency rule when funded. And I think then you can allow your winners to really go. But again, each to their own. Losing this 80 shelf again, back down to this same level. Consolidation now. I mean, yeah. There's a strong possibility we move lower, but it's just, I just feel so uncomfortable looking at this. Again, like NQ, how is it we've got relative weakness in NQ and we're just not doing any nice moves? But I don't like that they've left this here now. Again, that was divergence with ES. I don't like that we're trading into this big higher time frame pocket to get short on. This was the good breakdown. All right, here was a good short. This here. Anything there, great. Here comes sellers. But not here. No, not for me. Not for me. At least got to come and retest where we broke down from, pivoted. Anything in here? Great. I'll get sell side in there. But I'm zoomed out on. Look, we can go. I can show you what I mean. For those of you new, right? If we go to a weekly profile, make it really simple. Right, we're now taking out lows from July 2025, and we're back into these highs from December 2024 and February 2025. So I really, if we just think very basic, all right, support becomes, sorry, resistance becomes support. I don't want to short into here, all right? I do not want to short into here. Just really, really simple. Don't want to short into here. Do I want to short from there down? I mean, look at that. That little Trump pump yesterday, that was a great opportunity for them to sell back down. All right. Or from here down, these are all really good moves. These are the locations you want to be short and covering, and then you can hold runners. If we start melting here, can we go lower? Yeah, of course we can go lower, man. Look at these notes. All right. We've got lots of reasons to come lower. That's why these are nice and green. This is where I think market can trade into next. All right. So on every time frame, other than the monthly, all right, the monthly is still bullish. Right, because if we think about the swing points, there's your swing low that created this swing high, and we're just back into the midpoint of this. Not even the midpoint, probably the midpoint's down here. We can measure it out. Right, yeah, we've got a long way to go. 21.9 to get on a monthly midpoint. All right, we're nowhere near going bearish on a monthly, but on every other time frame, weekly, we're clearly bearish. All right, we're bearish. We're breaking down now. I would say this is the weekly. I'd say this low made this high. There's a sweep, went internal range, failed to make the high, created this liquidity. We're now in a sell, but we're selling back down into these pockets. Okay, I think there's a good chance we come down here, but I'm not going to short the lows of year on a Friday after a big melt to try and get down there. I just think you are asking for trouble by doing that. It's just how I trade. I do not trade in bad locations. I would rather sit here and moan about it than trade it. If something happened this week in Iran, maybe a gap down on Monday at open. Yeah, or maybe the other way. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the thing, right? We don't know what's going to happen, right? If we got, you know, let's say Saturday, Sunday, we heard oil tankers blown up, or Israel bombs more of like Iran's infrastructure, then yeah, maybe gap down, right? Maybe gap down. Very, very possible. If we hear the opposite of, you know, Iran comes out, confirms, hey, actually we're close to agreement with America, or DJT says, hey, we're very close to the 15-point plan agreement, and there's actually confirmation of it rather than just like a random message or saying, if there's actually like concrete evidence of it, maybe we gap up. All right, because we're at higher time frame levels, maybe we gap up. All right, back into here or something. Right, but we don't know. Like, anything's possible. What I'd really like, personally, is QQQ. Why is this giving me an awful QQQ? There we go. QQQ to come back down in, very selfishly, to fill some of these old gaps and come down into this level here, which is where I've got an alert. All right, anything in here, I'm a long-term buyer of Qs. Anything under that, I'm still a long-term buyer of Qs. I know there's some people calling for this move here. There are some people calling for this move here, right? I don't think we're going to get that on QQQ. I think that basically rules out any growth that's ever happened in the world ever. I just don't think that's possible. I mean, not possible. Anything's possible. I don't think that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to get drift in and a rally. I do think there's a chance of selling that back into the drift, but I think coming down here like people are calling for, I just, man, we'd be back. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's just, fuck me, man. That is a melt and a half. Some people are calling for that 50% pullback. I mean, we're back into COVID levels if we did that. I don't think that's what we're looking at. I really don't. But I do think we're looking at a deeper pullback than we have now. I do think we're probably looking at something like this, like a more exaggerated move of 15 to 20%. And then I'm interested long term. And ideally, we get a capitulation event, right? Ideally, I don't want to say ideally we get exaggerated war because it's a horrible thing to say. But ideally, we get panic. Panic is when I'm interested in buying. This isn't panic. What we're seeing today is not panic, right? This is pretty well structured, right? This is very well structured. And they just bid it off the low again. Is this the announcement? Because I did see White House kept teasing something coming soon, something coming soon. Is this the something has just come soon? Look at that move off the lows. Jesus Christ. Okay, back into the key level. US warns Iran may delay Ukraine weapon shipment. I'm not seeing anything else yet. Anyone seen anything else hit their news blotter? Literally just a squeeze and nothing else. I can't see anything. That was the move we were looking for earlier, right? Right into this level. Yeah, huge M1 candle. Again, failed to break down convincingly under 80s. Held the IB. But I'm not seeing the news that get that. It's very hard to trade because you'd need really you'd want this to hold now, and we're straight up, straight back down. This is the market we have at the moment. Not seeing anything. Hit my news. So every pop sold into, but you are back into that same kind of grey box again. Do they use that as the exit for the longs now, is the question. I'm still looking for something that caused that. That was big volume. Look above and fail it. I mean, it's just range, man. Like we talked about, D-shaped profile, right? We're going to go from one side to the other, right? Until we prove otherwise. We talked about this maybe 10 minutes ago or something. So that's right into one side. From the other side, there's value area low, there's value area high, there's midpoint, point of control. You've just done it in 2 minutes, which is mental. That's what's happened. Well, all these pixelated images that White House keep posting and then saying something's coming soon. Has anyone got any news on that? People saying it's a hack, but I don't think it is. What website do I use for news? Financial Juice. Starting to hold this midpoint here. It's everything's sideways though. White House officials cautiously hopeful latest talks with Iran are making progress. Source familiar with the talk, CBS reporter. I mean, what a crock of shit. This is what has got to stop happening. Like, oh, a CBS reporter allegedly says that White House are cautiously hopeful. I mean, what the fuck does that mean? It means nothing. Honestly. Yeah, no source. Just like that's like me saying, "Oh, my mate Kevin down the pub, right? He's well tight with someone that's friends with a friend that's friends with JD Vance, and they said that like maybe this will be done soon. What are you fucking going on about? Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Just like, can we just have real data and like, can we make some rule where like the news just these CBS reporters and Washington Post, just all of you shut up until we get something real. My mate Kev, he told me that maybe just maybe, it's gonna be over soon. But then my mate Dazza, who likes a bit of the stiff, he came back from the toilet and he told me, nah, never, mate. I mean, it's about as useless as that. Good old Kevin Dazza. They're at it. They're on a packet all the time. They got the goss. You come here for the rant. It's not even a rant, man. At this point, it's just a joke, isn't it? Though it's not the White House that's a joke. It's actually the reporters. It's actually the reporters. But that's how it is, right? It's how it's always been. Hot off the press. Hot off the press. No news. Daz's shirt is bright white. Am I from London? Yeah, I am. You can't fucking tell, mate. Geezer. No way you know Kevin too. Do you know Kev? Good old Kev. Kev's got all the goss. And Shazza, she knows everyone, you know. Lemon squeezer. He's a geezer. Right. Starting to try and base. They're trying to look for that expansion up to 600, 620. That's what they're trying to do. I don't know if any of you are in this. It's beyond my appetite now. It happened too quick, but it did hold that pullback, but it is trying to get up there. You're at value area high for the day. If they get through value area high, all right, they're going to try and come up for these 600, 620, these levels here. But you can see every time we do this rotation, we get stuck. Right, look at how many times we've done this now. Value area low, IB high, value area high, value area low, value area high, midpoint, value area high, value area low, value area high, midpoint, value area high. I don't know if they hold this pullback now or not. All right, but if they get through this node and this node is what they're looking for. True acceptance, all right, will be over here. All right, that's true acceptance. So if any of you are long down here, as long as you've paid yourself a chunk into here, you can try and hope that we get 600, 620 for that break. Let me have a look. Yeah, ETF's trying to do the same. Where's the VIX? VIX is back at 29s. It's got to move to 2850s if it wants to come to previous day high. It's possible. It's possible. Seller up here at 590. That was the same guy that was there this morning at 600 that moved down. So he's been there all day. Here you go. Here's the move to 590. Let's see if you fill him. Be very, very careful they fill him, because if you fill him, you're going to need an aggressive 200 lot buyer here at 211s and 90s. There you go. There's the big fill. 160 lot buyer, and you want to hold above 90s now if you were long, because you just had that big buyer come in, and they should try and get you to 600, 620s. They're adding liquidity higher here for you. All right, you look good. So that 620s is where you're trying to go, but you should pay yourself into 600. This is the node we just talked about. You get through this, you're going to go 620s, but again, that level at 95, 90, you can see 160 lot buyer came in here, aggressive buyer. We're at 1,200 lights. All right, sweet. We can do another. We can do the lucid in a moment. Let's just watch this market for a second. So again, a big buyer coming up here into that 90s like we talked about. There's a passive seller, and so we knew that would have to be an aggressive buyer into him. And if this guy gets stuck, we're going to pull back right to 55s. If we can stay above this 590 and break above 600, then you have that run up to the 24-hour VWAP into sort of 45s. And again, a break of 660s is where you really start getting going in this market today. That's where you really will start to get go. Okay, same as before. Code FCT gets you the best discount on Lucid right now. 40% off for 5 accounts, or if you're a new trader, it would get you, I think, 2 or 3 accounts for 50% off. And if you want your chance of winning a free Lucid account, just type FCT in once, please. Please do not type it multiple times. This looks good. They're trying to get this squeeze up to 620 into VWAP. Remember, acceptance over 660, you can really start to get going for the day. But you want to be selling up into these levels if you bought those dips, right? At the grey box or IB low, you want to be selling some into these levels. Good old CBS with a random report. Good old Kev. Kev's got you the squeezer. He's got you the squeezer. Lemon squeezer. All right, at the very least, hopefully I stopped you getting short today. That's all I really hoped for. We do not want to get short at lows. And what we've got going on here. Inflation levels are still too high. Inflation expectations are fragile. The war in Iran creates risk for growth in inflation. No shit. The Fed has made notable progress on bringing inflation down. So Paulson speaking at the moment. All right, right into this node that we talked about. This guy right here. All right, we're right into that node. What do I think of a hedge strategy trading futures? I don't know what your main strategy is, so I can comment on what a hedge strategy would be for you. When can you look for a short? Honestly, I'd be watching for 660s. If they break above and fail there, maybe. But otherwise, there is a chance we lift to 760s today. So if they protect this range, maybe. But you want to be very, very, very careful now. Like I talked about, we're very extended downside. Think about this downside move. All right, you're very extended. Oh, God. You're very extended. Really? Come on. You're very extended downside. And you've started to bottom out now. If they start to base and hold here, they're going to come for these 660s. If they base above this, this is possible. We talked about this at the beginning of the day. All right, so this level here becomes important, as do these. Any base above here now, bulls have started to take control because they've made sure that there's volume down there now. All right, look at the volume. So any base above this now shows some bullish strength at lows with a failure to accept lower. This 580s is the old pivot, by the way. This is the December pivot from 2024. So this becomes important. You get back above this, this can happen. You can also have a little look above and a fail back down in here. So I'll be watching both sides, but I much prefer the short up there. But I would say bulls have done a good job now. This is a good liquidity building stage. And if they can hold that and this, they've got a shot. Back under this, all right, then you've built out liquidity to go lower now. This is sufficient build out of liquidity now, which is what we did not have early in the day. Okay, let's pull this winner. Mohammed Alajar, I think it is. 6684, Mohammed Alajar. Let me know you're here. Okay, Mohammed, you're going to have to email me, info@flowzonetrader.com, and send me a screenshot of you logged into YouTube, and I'll sort you out with a free Lucid account. All right? Congratulations. You're welcome. You're welcome, bud. Are we doing course giveaway? We do it top of the hour. We do it at 9 o'clock, all right, for the course giveaway. Maybe let's do another 200 likes for the course giveaways. Get the likes up. Helps the stream. replying to some of you on email here. Sorry, just seen some of these come through. Don't forget, you've got a couple more days left to win a free funded Next account. If you go on my X platform at Flowzone Trader, it's pinned to the top of my X platform. All you've got to do is follow, repost, and comment FCT, and I'm going to pull that winner on April 1st. I'd say this level here becomes key now. Right? Are they willing to hold this and try and complete that rotation? Otherwise, if you've got too many buyers caught up there, which is what happened, and you lose this rotation happens again. So buyers have got to come in soon. And like we talked about, that big buyer came in at 90 and got caught. So here's value area high now. And if they don't absorb here, you're going to go right back down to VPOC. ES also rejected 24-hour VWAP there, folks. All right, so if you don't absorb here because you had that buyer come right in at the highs, that's normally exits for shorts, right in at the highs. You rotate to value area high, you lose this, you're going to retest 35s and then 500s very, very quickly. So they need to hold this level, the buyers, otherwise they're going to start getting themselves in trouble. How many fake emails are received for the free account? I mean, you can't fake email for the free account. You mean on Funded Next? Here's VWAP, so they're failing to hold this level. Come back down to VWAP and probably come back down into this again. And you want to be careful, like we talked about, if they start using this liquidity now, if they have the intentions of going lower, they can. At the moment, it's just a liquidity building phase of the market after a big dump overnight, like we talked about. ES now stuck between 24-hour VWAP and New York VWAP. Where are we? We're kind of the same. We didn't quite get there. ES is kind of dictating the moves a little bit more. VIX finding a bid around the 29s. It came sub 29s. Didn't quite get to previous day high, but it's finding a little bit of a bid here. So again, a rotational day on the VIX. Alex, I'm blowing my evals constantly lately. Can you advise on what the best approach is for a single trader of 70 to 80 points? I know every day is different, but what confluences would you suggest I study? Well, I already know that you've made an error there because you're already stating you're looking for 70, 80 point trades, and you can only get what the market creates available for you. So if you're already dictating that that's what you're looking for, and that's not available from the market, you've already failed. You should be looking for a setup, not a point. So you need to have a consistent setup. Are you trading rotations? Are you trading expansions? Are you trading trending markets? Are you trading like consolidating markets? And you need to have a model for each of those markets. I don't really like consolidating markets. You can see I played it today, but I way prefer the expansion model. But unfortunately, we already did the expansion model. My short needed to be from there. And at this time in the morning for me is 5, 4, 3, 2. That's 2:30 a.m. So I can't take it. I'm asleep. That would be my advice. Find your system that works for you first. Stop focusing on the profits and start focusing on what your system is and play your system. See how today, did you hear me talk about shorts down into these lows? No. Why? Because it doesn't fit my narrative. Yes, we're in a higher time frame sell. Absolutely, we're in a higher time frame sell. There is no way I'm selling down here. You're just not going to get me doing it, which means it limits my ability to trade today, but that stops me losing money. So what do I have? The only thing I really have is the IB to VWAP trade. You could have taken that, but I mean, that is not a legit setup in my mind. The recovery of here is, that's a better setup really, and that's tough. And you would now, if they hold this now at VPOC, you're looking to see how we act at 60s, right? And where did that buyer get stuck? 90s. He got stuck at 90s. Exactly. Juice. Is that how you say it? I'm guessing you're Josh with an extra O. Profits are, what did you say? Side effect of good trading. Yeah. Profits come from good process, right? Small losses also come from good process. Bad process, big losses, no profits. Or sometimes big profits, big losses, because you're just adding into losers and stuff like that. Right, it's a good hold here, and then we're going to come and test these 50s and 60s now, and then see if they resell it back down or not. We're just in a rotation. You can see how we're pinned. Here's the retest of 60s. So there's an imbalance here at 52s. Here's the 52s. And if they get through here, they test 60s. And if they fail here, they're trying to protect value area high to move lower. If we reclaim it, then we're going to come and test these sort of 94s up into here. After a month here, I concluded Tyson is actually Kevin and reported to CBS for the Tyson trade squeeze. The earth is also flat. I love that, Rohan. I agree. Tyson, we're changing your name to Kev. You got to change your number plate now, mate. All right, no more IB to VWAP. We want Kev's CBS number plate now. Oi, Kev! Who gave you the fucking goss, mate? We still inside of the IB? Yeah, we're well inside of the IB, man. IB high was basically the open print of the day. IB high is right away up here. IB low is right the way down here. Your consolidation zone is here. All right, that's your consolidation zone. Buyers really need to get it back above this. This is what I'm saying. Sellers might try and reject here or here now. And it's just how we're building structure. It's just rough. So buyers have started to take a bit more control above these levels, but this is not a pretty session right now, folks. All right, it really is not a pretty session. You sent me the email. All right, as soon as I'm done with stream, mate, I will send you the account, okay? As soon as we're done. All right, so sellers are trying to protect value area high here, but you can see there's so much liquidity all the way up to 85s here. And probably, I'm assuming, up to 90s. Yes, up to those 90s, because that is where that buyer got stuck at 90 on the dot, right? The buyer got stuck here. So sellers will want to defend. Think about this. Sellers will try and defend value area high. And if they can't defend value area high, they will try and defend this buyer who's caught. Buyers will want to come and retest this level. So any buyer that bought this dip will want it back above value area high to retest this level here at 90. And that is the rotation. That's literally how we use order flow to see the rotations. Oh, sorry, Kev. Sorry, Kev, mate. Fucking Kev. Sorry, buddy. Not you, Kev. The other Kev. Kev 2. Kev 2, not Kev 1. You're Kev 1. Does Lucid still come with order flow for NT? Yeah, I believe so. Believe so, yes. But you might need to turn it on like I teach you in that video. All right, little poke above value area high here, failing again. Buyers came in there. Not big buying, but those buying came in there and they got absorbed by sellers. You can see we had in that little squeeze. All right, you can see the absorption. Take you to Bookmap. All right, we just see these lots come flying in. 38 lot, 85 lot, and we moved straight back down. All right, no acceptance back above 60s. Now they're trying to absorb this to come back for the same levels of buyers. Trying to step back in to get you back above value area high for the move to 90 right now. All right, that's what they are attempting to do to get the move to 90. Why does 90 matter? Because if we come up here on the delta, you're going to see an outlying buyer. Right the way up at 90, there he is. That's that outline buyer, 886 lot at 90. So they want to try and lift to test that. That would be sort of the last chance for shorts to defend. All right, will be this 90 guy. we go. So it's into 65. You can see the sellers stacking up all the way up to 90s. And we're just in a rotation. I'm really sorry, folks. It would have been really nice if we had a really good session today. But if you compare our session to what's happened overnight, it's laughable, isn't it? It's laughable. When I look at that hourly, I'm so jealous of you traders overnight. Like, look at this. This is about as good as you get. Retest here, right, on the hourly. Big node into previous current weekly levels, right, into a big sell. Nice hourly bear flag, breakdown underneath previous day value area low, and straight into the daily, weekly, monthly pivot. What a beautiful sell. And because you all got that, I get dealt with this. All right, why do I get dealt with that? Because just like this, understand the market. All right, once we do a big sell, we have to build liquidity. Once we do a big sell, we have to build liquidity. So we're building liquidity out. And then they need to make the decision, are we coming down for the next block? Or are we coming back and doing this next week? Probably not going to do it today, I don't think. Won't have the time, I wouldn't have thought, unless something changes massively. Okay, how are we doing for likes? Did we get the likes up? Get us up another 100 likes and we give away a free beginner course. Introduction to market course. So here's the retest. And can they lift you to 90s? You can see all the sellers stacked above. And they're trying to come and test that buyer who got caught at 90s right now. How long I've been streaming for? What, today you mean? Since 9:15 in the morning. Yeah, Monday to Friday, Mary, 9:15 a.m. Make sure you get here 9:15 a.m. New York time, because that's where we do all the plan for what we're looking at. Here we come. So we're going to come up. They're trying to test this guy at 90s. See, they just absorbed again into 80s. They want to test the buyer who got stuck at 90s right now. That's what they're trying to do. So they're back above value area high. 90s is their target right now. They want to get into 90s. Sellers will want to defend up to 90s. They will not want it above 90s, these sellers. They will want to step in soon into this like little shelf into 80s. And 90s will be their last resort to defend, because if we get through 90s, then that 166 lot buyer is comfortable. We don't have to, muddy waters, we don't have to retest that player. It's just where they want to try and test. Buyers want, if you think about it, if you were the 166 lot buyer, right, and you're stuck here and you haven't exited, right, you might be adding, trying to get back up to break even to get out. Sellers will want to defend up to that level. You can see this shelf is being defended right now, right? That's just the battle, right? Because we're in a rotation, that's the battle, right? 80 is the shelf, 90 is the player. That was the dip that held in front of this shelf here. Maybe we can make this a bit bigger. It's a shame they didn't come down a bit deeper. And they've come right back in. All right, and now we're going to be pinned in. So we've got a lower high, higher low versus this. And they're going to have to make their decision what they're going to do. Are we going to get this? Are we going to get this? Or are we going to do absolutely nothing, which is highly likely at the moment, unless we see acceptance over 90. Do I want to join short, Matt? Like I said, I've said it a million times today. I am not interested in the short unless we get right up here. And right now, structurally, other than being in a rotation, I'd say bulls are starting to have some form of control, right, over these levels. All I know is the big sells took place today at 29, 529, 517s, 500s. All right, if we think about these guys from this morning, all these big sellers, right, are currently underwater. All right, and until we're underneath that, until price comes back down here and then starts rejecting, we can't move lower. All right, we're going to need these sellers to be comfortable. This is the buyer who's currently stuck, right? So you can see we came down into this little node, coming back up to test this guy. I'd say bulls are currently, technically speaking, doing a good job of holding anywhere here, right, where these sellers, this cluster of sellers are. And they can try and force the lift. It doesn't mean they get it, but it's what they're trying to force. I'm just not really interested in this market right now. All right, I'm very, very, very interested in being a seller from much higher. Is that a custom indicator? The one I'm using is, but you can just use order flow. Right? Use the big lot or whatever they call it on NinjaTrader. But for me, it's knowing when to trade and when not to trade. Like, opportunities here are limited. Opportunities here are fantastic. If this had come up higher, that would have been A+ as well. All right, these are good opportunities. This is we're in the pullback stage of this market. If you think about the higher time frame, I'll do a little lesson for you guys as always. All right, let's move out of this. All right, this is where we're at with the market. All right, for months we built liquidity, and the market's now left that liquidity, and we've started breaking down. And we did a pullback, and we built liquidity, and we broke down away from it, and we did a little pullback earlier in the week, and we broke down overnight. All right, so if we think about a daily or a weekly and a daily and an H1, right, this is where we are into a higher time frame support system. So we did this many, like literally a year plus ago. All right, we're into this. All right, and right now we're doing this part like this and like this. So in this part, we don't really want to get short, right? We need to let the pullback finish, which might be all the way up to here on like a H1 or daily, and then we can think about selling it back down, all right? And when we sell it back down, we'd have to obey any structure which has been formed here because we don't know if it's going to do that. So we sell it, we cover some, and if we get a runner, great. All right, so when we're in here, which is where we are today, we need to be very careful of bottoming patterns like this, right? Because if you're trying to sell these lows, you're not understanding where we're at. You're going to get squeezed out in a bottoming pattern. The best thing to do would be to wait. If we think about what this would look like on a lower time frame, if we wanted to be a seller, right, let's just imagine this is magnified up here. I'll draw it out. If we wanted to be a seller, let's say on the lower time frame, we did this. Come on, man. Okay, now we're interested in the sell, right? We need to wait for that. And then something like this, correct? So where would that be? Clean all this up. This is why this is a game of patience and understanding liquidity. Not fucking moon cycles. Right? Where would that be? That would be some of these levels. here would be good. Just like here would be good. Just like this day, if you remember when I was looking for the short this day, I wanted it to lift a bit higher up into here. Because we built a range. We broke down from the range. I just wanted it to come and retest that to sell. Right? Keep it simple. Right? What we don't want to do is sell a bottoming pattern into a higher time frame. Right? That is a bottoming pattern. We do not sell down here. The only way we sell down there now is if we break below it, leaving buyers trapped, and then you could think about that move. It's very, very risky because, again, this is a monthly, weekly, daily pivot. If you don't understand that, again, I'll take you to a weekly chart. And we'd have to go to NQ1 because we won't have all the information on this because it's the new contract. All right, we are right into here. Support system here because it was resistance. Resistance became support. Support, and we expect that to be support. All right, we do not get short into there. All right, very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. Keep it very, very simple. Doesn't mean we can't trade lower. It means there's a new money short. You don't want to be short here. Where do we want to be short? Where did we break down from? Right? We want to be short here, where they got it in Asia. Right, great. Short from there, cover some there, hold a runner to next node. Fantastic. That's your A+ short opportunity if you were in Asia. What we don't want to do is short here, get squeezed out, stop out, and then sell it and be like, oh, I knew I was right. No, you didn't know. You took the wrong position at the wrong time, right? We can always be right. I could buy the market here, right? And wait 5-10 years and then be like, I knew I was right. Market is a game of timing, right? And the way you time it is by understanding how it moves and where it moves. So hopefully that's helped you understand why I didn't want to be short at these lows today. Very, very simple. Okay, good rejection so far of the 80s. Didn't quite get to the 90s, but again, you're just in the rotation. You're now letting go of 55s into this New York VWAP. Okay, and this is the battle like we talked about. From here and probably down into here is probably the new liquidity build in these kind of areas. Okay. So how many likes? All right, that will do. There or thereabouts. All right, we'll give away an introductory course. I will warn you, this is only a 2-hour course. It is only good for people who have never traded before. All right, it's very, very, very simple. It's only 2 hours long. Okay, so just type course once in chat. If you want to use it for yourself or give it to someone else, it's up to you. How do you use your payouts on Lucid? I got finessed by 171 by taking USDT. What do you mean finessed? How do I use my payouts? All my money goes into my bank account and then normally goes straight into my trading account and I just reinvest it long term. That's what I've always done. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Rosaline, I want it to go up 800 points. That's ridiculous. Rosaline, I'm looking for it to move to here. I don't know if you can do maths properly, but that's not 800 points, Rosaline. That's where I'm comfortable reshorting. All right. It's not ridiculous. And it seems to be like you're here moaning quite a lot at the moment and clearly don't understand. So I'm going to ask you, like, either remove yourself from chat if you don't like me and you have a problem with me, or just keep your mouth shut. It's up to you. But I'm here trying to teach you. I've kept you safe. I've stopped you shorting the lows. I've told you the long squeezes back up. I've told you who's in control, where they're in control, where the higher time frame participants are. If you don't understand that, it's absolutely on you. If you keep being a pest and a nuisance, you will simply be removed from this chat, and then that's your loss, not mine. All right. All right, give you guys 10 seconds and we'll pull the winner. And I tell you what, if the winner's Rosaline, we'll repull it. She ain't winning anything today. Mac Trades, I can tell you, be here for the long haul. And then the bonus of it all, I actually like you as a human. Thank you, man. And I love your music. Oh, cheers, buddy. Appreciate that. All right, let's pull this winner. Alex Berlin, 83. Alex Berlin, 83. Are you here? I'm assuming that's not the Alex Berlin that I'm friends with. He used to run the events at Ritterbutzka. Are you here, Alex? Oh, thank you very much for that gift. Very kind of you. Appreciate you. The coffee. Alex winning on Alex's stream. Well, it's definitely not me. Let me know you're here. Thanks, mate. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. All right, just send me an email, Alex, info@flowzonetrader.com. I'll sort you out with a free course. No worries. One of my favorite cities in the world. Is that where you live? I love it there, man. Would have been funny if Kevin won. Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Would have been a good one. Did I clear out the performance and the trend for an indicator? I did, but there's a load more that have come through today. I tell you what, who just wrote that? Barry, just email me info@flowzonetrader.com if I haven't done it, and just send me your TradingView username and I'll sort you out, mate. No worry. No worries. Do I have a favorite city now? Not really. I don't think so. Maybe I really like Palma and Mallorca, actually. That's probably one of my favorite. Alex, is there a difference with your chart settings on TradingView? I show the monthly weekly pivot lower at 22,400. Have you adjusted it? Are you looking at the NQ1 and are you adjusted? All right, so you need it adjusted. Right into here. We're already under it. All right, this high here. 576, and to the next high was down here into 447. So you had 22 fours. So maybe you weren't adjusted. Let me check the non-adjusted. No, non-adjusted were way above. 22 fours, that's what you have. So you have it without the adjustment for futures. That's why. Non-adjusted. I put it on the adjusted for the contract difference. All right, so this way we adjust for contracts, for rollover contracts. So without the adjustment for contracts, that's what you're looking at. Right? With the adjustment for contracts, this is what you're looking at, right? All right, folks, I think that's it. Done all the giveaways. No worries, mate. All good. Trade safe for those of you here the rest of the day. Discord, give me like 20 minutes to grab a coffee and a bite, and we'll do the private lessons together. Make sure you put your questions in the private chat, because I've got nothing planned for you. So I'll really just answer your questions of whatever it is that you want to go through. Everyone else, we'll get the newsletter out to you tomorrow morning, back to normal schedule. Okay, so if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, click the link that's posted in the chat or go to the description. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. All right, and we go over all the levels and news and why we've moved and what we're probably looking at next. I'd love you to read my coffee a bit back. What do you mean your coffee? Appreciate the bonus. I'm not sure what you mean by I'd love for you to read my coffee. Your comment, do you mean? Put your comment in again now and I'll read it if I've missed one. Just waiting for this guy to put his comment in and then I'm getting out of here. Does the pay course include how I use Bookmap in my trading? The order flow course does, yes, POC. If you look at the order flow course, I'll go through all of that. So the order flow course covers like how I use delta, footprints, outlying delta that's like core, delta divergence, volume, Bookmap, all of that. It's all in the order flow course. Jeff, thanks so much, my friend. Super kind of you. Thank you for your teachings last week. One more difficult week I've traded so far. Yeah, it's been a harder week this week. You know, I would leave you with that. If you're struggling in this market, you've got to know it's so news driven and impact driven on that news, and then the moves are happening fast when they're ready. And we're in a risk off environment. And some of you might have been tempted to this is what upsets me with the world of the internet. Buy dips when they're not ready. All right, like trying to buy the market because, well, Trump said he's going to save the market. The amount of times I've seen that come in, like, yes, Donald very well might save the market if a truce is done. But until it's, like they said in the press conference yesterday, until him and Iran agree on that, he's going to keep basically the hammer down on them. And you've got to understand the macros from that, how it affects the market. We are absolutely risk off right now. There's no doubt about it. And tech is getting sold hard. Like, we've had rotations earlier in the year. Am I interested in scooping some of the names? Like, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be? I've definitely got some starters in some of these names. But it doesn't mean we can't come lower. Apple's with relative strength. This is like one of the best looking charts out there right now because it has relative strength. But if we start breaking 43s, we've got gap fills to 41s and gap fills to 14s. All right. Amazon, weak, starting to build out this liquidity here to drive down. Is this level of interest? You can see 50% fit, but I'm interested in any flush down into here right now. Goog, horrible chart, not touching this. I think that's some people in for a nightmare there. Meta, I've started in yesterday into this tariff pivot. All right, I've got a starter long in here. Microsoft, same story. Watching this sweep of this low, where I've got these alerts set to see if we can come down into there. Nvidia, starting to let go of here. Big problems. Can come right back into like maybe 50% of this range. I mean, you're all going to hate me for saying that, but it's very, very possible. And Tesla, that is a leave alone for me. Never been a fan of that chart anyway. But when we're talking about like everything, we're going to have to go up because we've pulled back 10%. No, it doesn't have to do anything. So like we just wait to see a response. Like either we get panic or move into here, or we see a response and then we can start bidding on it. All right, higher time frame. I still don't see anything from that guy who's just added the extra money to have a comment. Anyway, love you guys. Have a great weekend. Make sure you get off the charts, right? Go and do some fun stuff. Don't be on here all day. And look out for that newsletter tomorrow morning. Thanks for everyone that's new and turned up today. Appreciate you. Smash that like and subscribe button. Share the stream with a mate. And I'll see you Monday morning, 9:15. And we go again, right? Peace and love.